Hi, welcome back guys. This is your Sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Joined Blue Lock? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. For Iseijai, scoring had once been easy and had even secured him a spot in the regionals, but on this occasion fate did not favor him. As he prepared to shoot, a teammate called out that he was open and urged him to pass. The coach from the bench shouted that Iseijai should pass the ball and reminded him that football was a team sport. Convinced by the coach's order, Iseijai saw they were already close to the opponent's goal and passed the ball to the teammate, who moved in to take the shot, hoping to score the winning goal. Their hopes were cut short by a player who skillfully stopped the ball with his chest and mocked how weak the shot had been. In the blink of an eye, a boy darted between Iseijai and his teammates like a bullet train. Iseijai wondered how he had arrived so quickly as he watched the redhead sprint toward his goal, impossible for any of Iseijai's teammates to catch. A few meters from the opposite goal, the redhead assessed the goalkeeper preparing to block the shot, told himself it would be useless and called the move the lightning shot, then struck the ball with his right foot so powerfully that it flew past the defenders, who could barely react. The referee blew the final whistle, leaving only one team victorious. At the sound of the whistle, Iseijai fell to his knees, pounding the grass with his fists in a mixture of fury and frustration. When he lifted his head, he saw the player responsible for his team's elimination walking toward the locker rooms with a calm expression. Iseijai vowed that one day he would defeat Uzumaki Naruto as the redhead stopped, turned, and smiled before continuing on his way. Naruto ignored Iseijai completely, and Iseijai rose to his feet. Uzumaki Naruto was the son of a prominent businesswoman named Uzumaki Kushina and a former German footballer named Namikaze Minato. Some time earlier, Minato had died from a strange, incurable illness. With his father's death, Naruto, who had once been a cheerful and playful child, had changed noticeably. He had become quieter and more inward, focused mainly on himself. One of Naruto's teammates invited him to stay and celebrate their victory, but Naruto declined, saying he had to go home. He packed his things into his backpack and left. As he walked, Naruto found himself replaying the match from a few hours earlier in his mind. If it had not been for his coach insisting on letting his teammates play, the score would have easily been 5. Naruto whispered that if he continued like this he would not be able to keep his promise as he looked at the dark, starry sky and childhood images of kids playing soccer passed through his mind. Shaking his head, the red-haired young man continued home at a calm pace. The next morning, in the Uzumaki household, an 8-year-old girl named Elena called through the house that her older brother had received a letter. Naruto opened his eyes at the shout and, with great laziness, got up and went downstairs to see his sister standing at the doorway with a letter in her hand. Elena said that the DLVY man had said it came from someone named Ego, and she handed the letter to her brother. Naruto opened it and found only an address and a short note saying that the Blue Lock project could help him become the best player in the world. Naruto wondered aloud that maybe this was what he had been waiting for, and Elena nodded in agreement. Later, Naruto stood before the large building that housed the Blue Lock project. He hoped it would not be a waste of time as he walked toward the entrance. Inside, he saw many young players and noticed that, to his curiosity, all of them were forwards. After a while, the man who had sent the invitations appeared, Jinpachi Ego, smiling at the sight of a red-haired, golden-eyed youth among the crowd of forwards. While Ego spoke about Japanese football, Naruto mentally disconnected. He knew that Japanese football could not compare to the rest of the world, especially Europe and Latin America, where soccer was a way of life for children, particularly in Brazil. England might have created the modern game, but Brazil had elevated it thanks to its famous, beautiful game. After a long explanation, Ego opened 2 large doors behind him and invited everyone to become the best striker in the world. Naruto thought to himself that here he went and ran to the front, easily passing everyone who had been ahead of him. Prologue end. Later, Naruto found himself in a room with 12 other players, all wearing blue uniforms. He was the only one relaxed, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. They waited until Ego's voice boomed and a screen turned on to explain that the project required 11 players per team, and since there were 12 in the room, one would have to be eliminated. To be fair, they would play a game called Last with the Ball Loses. Naruto considered it a waste of time and stayed in place while the others scrambled. What surprised Naruto was when a sleepy-looking boy stepped in front of his friend to receive the ball and, with impressive control, redirected it straight into another player's face, eliminating him. Naruto recognized them then. He mentally recalled that the white-haired player was Saishiro Nagi and his teammate was Ryo Mikeich, whom he had played with not long ago. Igo congratulated them as Raw Diamonds and announced that from that day they were Team V. He explained their stay. The 300 forwards had been divided into groups of 11 and distributed across 5 tiers. In their tier there were 5 teams labeled V to Z. They had to play 3 matches and win them. If they failed, only the top scorers would advance. He also said that each player's number corresponded to their level. The higher the number, the weaker the player, the lower the number, the stronger. With the explanation finished, Igo gave them 3 days of training and the screen went dark. Ryo noticed that Nagi was number 25 and he was 26, then looked around and finally saw a certain red-haired player he had not noticed before. Ryo pointed him out to Nagi. At the sight of the red-haired player, Nagi's bored expression changed to excitement. Naruto had been the one who had once made him feel alive on the field when they had lost 4. Ryo thought that if they could get Naruto to join them, their team would be unstoppable. Naruto noticed their looks and gave them a smile. 3 days later, after completing the training Igo had assigned, Team V waited on the field for their opponents. The opposing team, Team W, emerged led by twin brothers. Igo announced over the loudspeaker that this would be the first match of their tier and that the winner would earn 3 points. Keisuke Wanama, the younger twin, declared that he was ready to crush their opponents, while his older brother Junichi nodded with crossed arms and a stern expression. Ryo asked Nagi and Naruto if they were ready. Nagi and Naruto nodded. The 3 of them formed the front line, with Nagi on the right wing, Ryo on the left, and Naruto in the center. At the sound of the whistle, Team V, with Naruto at the lead, began the match. Naruto passed the ball to the left, and Ryo received the pass. He was a little surprised by the perfection of the pass. Reading the play quickly, Ryo made a feint to the left that completely fooled the senior Wanama player. With a long pass, Ryo sent the ball to Nagi, who used perfect control to take it, slipped past 2 opponents, and spotted Naruto with his back turned. Nagi made a quick pass that Naruto controlled without difficulty. Naruto then faced the goal, smiled, and with a powerful left-footed strike sent the ball into the top corner of the net. The score became Team V1, Team W. The Team W players were discouraged, not expecting such an early goal. After the restart, with Team W kicking off, they tried in the following minutes to score an equalizer, but Team V's defense remained unstoppable. In a careless moment, Keisuke lost the ball and Naruto calmly recovered it. Keisuke then shouted that he would finally get revenge for the humiliation from their previous encounter and ran toward Naruto. Naruto watched him come and quickly spun around Keisuke, who could not stop him. Naruto taunted Keisuke as a lazy genius and sent a precise pass to Nagi. Nagi ran a short distance and then shot directly at the goal, scoring Team V's second goal. After a while the first match ended with a crushing score. Team V 8, Team W goals were distributed as 3 for Naruto, 3 for Nagi, and 2 for Ryo. With that result, Team V moved into first place while everyone waited for the match between Team Z and Team X. Later, sitting together after a shower and eating, Ryo remarked that for their first time playing together they had done very well. Naruto agreed quietly while eating a bowl of ramen. Nagi, resting his head on the table, asked Ryo who their next opponent would be. Ryo explained that they would play Team Y next, then Team X, and finally Team Z. Nagi gave a thumbs up in affirmation. Ryo then called everyone's attention to the standings. The table showed Team V in first place. Scores: Z3, Y0, X0, W. A member of Team X shouted that they were at the top of the standings, and others cheered. Uzumaki Naruto remarked that it was to be expected as he crossed his arms with a half smile. In the Blue Lock gym, Naruto trained hard despite already being in excellent shape. The red-haired, golden-eyed player lifted his head when a large, sour-faced boy entered. Burushiri asked if the runner was Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto stopped on the treadmill and calmly confirmed that he was, asking how he could help. Buru announced that he would show who the king of the pitch was, and a fierce lion image seemed to form behind him, baring its teeth. Naruto teased that the small cat wanted to show its claws, walking toward Buru with his golden eyes bright and a smile on his face. They stood face to face, equal in height, for a few tense minutes until Naruto passed by Buru without trouble. At the door, Naruto said he hoped Buru would provide some entertainment when they met. Match day, Team V versus Team Y. Team V walked toward the field in single file behind Naruto, Ryo, and Nagi. Ryo mentioned that Team Z had suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of Team X. Naruto paid it little mind and Nagi dismissed it outright. When Team V reached the pitch, they came face to face with Team Y, led by two boys standing at the front. Naruto recognized the player with hair covering his eyes and thought the match would be exciting. Nico muttered that it was bad news to find Uzumaki on the opposing side and appeared uneasy. Hibiki Okawa noticed Nico's unusual nervousness and asked what was wrong. Nico asked Hibiki whether he recognized the red-haired player. Hibiki looked and then opened his eyes in surprise, naming Uzumaki Naruto as the Scarlet Prince. Nico ordered Team Y into position and told them to prepare for the start of the match. The referee's whistle signaled the beginning. Naruto passed the ball with a quick touch to Ryo. Ryo immediately spotted Nagi sprinting down the left wing and delivered a right-footed pass to his feet. Nagi controlled the ball with a single touch and saw three Team Y defenders closing in. He danced past the first with a neat nutmeg, faked out the second, and chipped the third. Before the ball hit the ground, Nagi sent a powerful volley toward Naruto. Naruto brought it down on his chest and followed with a one-touch shot toward the goal while a defender stood in front of him. The scoreboard moved to 1-0 in Team V's favor. Team Y hastily prepared to restart from the center. Hibiki moved the ball quickly to Nico, who watched his teammates surge forward. Seeing Ashime unmarked, Nico passed to him. Ashime received and quickly fed the ball to Fuma, who immediately sent a long pass to Hibiki at the edge of the penalty area. Before Hibiki could control it, a red blur intercepted the pass. Naruto observed that their plays had become predictable while watching Nico. Spotting Ryo unmarked, Naruto quickly sent him a pass and then began to run forward. Ryo returned the ball with a powerful touch that landed at Naruto's feet. Naruto faced Nico, who looked serious. Nico declared that he would not allow Naruto to get past him. Naruto replied that he saw so many openings, which confused Nico until the red-haired player exploded forward with such speed that Nico could not react. With only the goalkeeper to beat, Naruto struck with his left foot and the ball sped into the upper left corner of the goal. The score became 2. Nico checked the clock and saw 10 minutes remained in the first half. He told Hibiki that they had to at least go into halftime down by only 1 goal, and Hibiki nodded. Team Y restarted from the center, but this time their entire squad pushed forward. Nico passed to Sato, who quickly combined with Rikako. Rikako lifted the ball to Koshiba, and Koshiba's powerful shot found Hibiki, who finished to score Team Y's first goal. Naruto said the time had come to seal the match, and Ryo agreed. With 6 minutes left in the first half, Ryo took the center kickoff with the help of a teammate. The quick restart drew pressure from Team Y, who tried to steal the ball and equalize. Ryo used his technique to slip past them and pass to Naruto, whose speed left everyone behind as he reached the edge of the opposing penalty area again. Without bothering to look up, Naruto sent in a cross that Team Y initially dismissed because there seemed to be no one in the box. Nico, sprinting back toward his goal, noticed a Team V player was unmarked. The Team Y goalkeeper leaped to intercept, but the ball curved and dropped directly in front of him, where a white-haired teammate appeared to finish and send the ball into the net. At that exact moment the halftime whistle blew. The score was 3. Both teams left the field with 25 minutes to rest and plan for the second half. When the second half began, nothing went according to Team Y's plan. Their hopes of a comeback or a tie were crushed as Team V refused to give them any breathing room. Naruto, Nagi, and Ryo took control of the match and overwhelmed their opponents. The game ended in a crushing defeat for Team Y and a satisfying victory for Team V. The final score was Team V 12, Team Y. Naruto scored 5 goals, Nagi scored 4, and Ryo scored 3. Hibiki Okawa scored the lone goal for Team Y. Team V left the field calmly, while Team Y stood broken. Nico slammed his fist on the ground in frustration and bitterly remarked on another loss to the Scarlet Prince. One day after the match, Naruto, Nagi, and Ryo sat in the locker room watching a large screen that displayed the standings. Ryo pointed out that they were in first place with 2 wins. The table showed Team V in first with 6 points, Team W second with 4, Team X third with 4, Team Y fourth with 0, and Team Z fifth with 0. Naruto asked for confirmation that Team Y would play Team Z, then Team W, and finally Team V, and Ryo nodded. Nagi asked how the top scorers list looked. The screen changed to show the top scorers: Naruto with 8 goals in 2 matches, Bru with 8 goals in 2 matches, Nagi with 7 goals in 2 matches, and Ryo with 5 goals in 2 matches. Ryo frowned at being 4th on the list. Naruto said that Ego had scheduled their next match in 2 days, so they needed to rest. He rose to leave, and his teammates watched him go without comment. As Naruto walked through the halls with his eyes closed, thinking about his future and the odd absence of a call from his mother, a female voice apologized behind him. He turned and saw a pleasant woman with light brown hair and matching eyes. She smiled and introduced herself as Anri Ter, Ego's assistant, and informed him that Ego had asked to speak with him. Anri escorted Naruto to an office away from the training facilities. Inside, Naruto found Ego seated, watching the match between Team Y and Team Z. To Naruto's surprise, Nico's team was losing to the same side that had conceded 5 goals in their opening match. Naruto told Ego that Anri had informed him Ego had called. Ego turned his chair and, in a serious tone, asked Naruto to sit down, saying they needed to discuss the players Naruto had asked him to find. He took a seat in one of the chairs and watched Ego, who pressed a few buttons to project images behind him that left him wide-eyed with surprise. Later, Team Z's room. Things had not been easy for Team Z. Their first match had been a disaster, a crushing 5-1 loss to Team X. But thanks to effort, teamwork, and individual brilliance, they had staged a comeback in a game that had looked lost, turning a 1-0 deficit at halftime into a 2-1 victory in the second half to earn their first win. Bakira asked Iseijai what he was looking at. Iseijai replied that he was checking their position in the standings and looked back up in time to see the table. The standings showed: 1. Team V 6 points. 2. Team W 4 points. 3. Team X 4 points. 4. Team Z 3 points. 5. Team Y 0 points. Chijiri noted that Team V appeared to be undefeated. Kunigami, known for his confidence as a footballer, observed that they had been winning by large margins. Bakira remarked with a grin that Team V had beaten Team Y 12. Raichi complained in frustration that 3 of the top 4 goal scorers were from Team V and he was nowhere to be seen on the list. While his teammates talked, Iseijai studied the name at the top of the table with a serious expression. He clenched his fists and vowed to take the number 1 spot from Uzumaki Naruto, the Crimson Prince. Later, Team V's third match. Naruto and his teammates walked toward the field, and the words Ego had spoken days earlier came back to him. Ego had reminded him that the others were already playing with professionals and that Naruto had not yet debuted in the big leagues. If he wanted to be like them, he would have to become the best striker in the world. Naruto resolved to do just that and promised himself that they would play together again in the big leagues. Baru announced the arrival of Team V as he emerged from the tunnel with his teammates, taunting them to kneel before their king. Naruto responded with a cool expression, indicating that they would see about that. Burr did not wait. At the whistle he moved the ball to Dokomo, who sent it back to Dado. With the ball at his feet, Dado searched for Baru and delivered a powerful pass into the opponent's area. Baru readied himself to strike, but a red-haired player moved like a flash and stole the ball before Baru could react. Naruto teased Baru about his speed as he turned away. With one touch, Naruto released the ball to Ryo, who surged up the right wing. When 4 defenders closed in, Ryo slipped a quick pass back to Naruto in the center. Naruto employed a childhood trick one of his friends had taught him, executing a smooth feint that left a defender flat-footed. As two more defenders came at him, he faked left and burst right, leaving them behind. For the second defender, he spun around and flicked the ball with his heel to Nagi. Nagi faced the goal and struck a powerful right-footed shot that the goalkeeper, despite his best efforts, could not stop. Ryo celebrated the goal energetically, while Nagi received his teammates' congratulations with a calm, indifferent look. From the center of the field, Burr watched Naruto with clenched teeth and fists. Enraged, Burr vowed to make Naruto pay and prepared to restart play. From that point, Team X's attacks were easily contained by the trio that not only defended but also launched quick counterattacks, and the first half ended 5-0, with 1 goal from Naruto, 1 from Nagi, and 3 from Ryo. Burr instructed his teammates that in the second half the ball had to be passed to him at all costs and that he would turn the match around. At the start of the second half, Team X launched a quick counterattack. Through rapid, precise passes between Dato and Docomo, the ball reached Burr, who immediately struck and scored minutes into the PRD. Naruto saw Burr's smug smile and felt his irritation flare. He signaled to Ryo that he wanted the ball. Ryo obliged as soon as the whistle sounded. From midfield, Naruto began a dazzling solo run across the pitch, weaving past the Team X players with feints and dribbles they could not stop. After outmaneuvering the last defender, Naruto set himself outside the area and prepared a powerful shot. Naruto called it his fire shot as he swung his right leg and struck the ball with such force that it seemed to blaze, flying toward the goalkeeper who could not move in time. The shot was so powerful that it tore through the net and sent the ball rebounding against the wall behind the goal. Burr, stunned from the ground after being beaten, could not have imagined seeing such a finish. With their morale shaken, Team X focused on preventing any more goals and defending the remainder of the match. But luck was not on their side and they ended up losing with a crushing score of 10-0. Burr, despite feeling humiliated by Naruto, did not lose his spirit. Seeing that no one else would step forward to score, he himself moved up and managed a hat-trick. Score: Team V 10. Team X scorers for Team V, Naruto 4, Nagi 3, Ryo 3. Scorers for Team X, Burr 3. Isagi shouted that Burr's team had lost 10-3, and his cry carried across to all his teammates who were training after a hard match against Team W. Bakira pointed to the screen to show the standings. Bakira indicated that Team V sat first with 9 points, Team Z second with 6, Team W third with 4, Team X fourth with 4, and Team Y last with 0. Raichi asked about the top scorers, and Bakira switched the display. The top scorers board showed Naruto with 12 goals in 3 matches, Burr with 11 in 3, Nagi with 10 in 3, and Ryo with 8 in 3. Isagi vowed that they would see Naruto Uzumaki's face again soon. Chijiri noted that one of the two teams was already qualified. Kyuon, the traitor of Team Z, asked why, and Chijiri explained that whether that team won or lost, their 9 points were already enough to advance. Igarashi smiled confidently and said they were also qualified with 6 points, but Isagi pointed out that if Team Y won both of their remaining matches they would also reach 6 points, leaving them tied. Kunigami lifted everyone's morale by reminding them that what mattered was going out to play and winning the next match. In Team V's room the regular players were asleep, while the 3 key players trained in the practice hall. Ryo asked Naruto if he could ask a question. Naruto agreed while casually juggling and controlling the ball. Ryo asked where he had learned to dribble like that. Naruto explained that a childhood friend from Brazil had taught him to play with the Jogo Bonito style. Without hesitation he struck the ball hard. It curved dangerously into the top right corner of the net. Nagi and Ryo praised him, and Naruto admitted that he had always been good at sports of any kind, but watching those 5 play football on the sand had surprised him. When they invited him to join and he lost, he realized he wanted to be a footballer so he could play against them. Ryo wished him luck and Naruto nodded. 2 days later, the last match of the first phase Team V versus Team Z began. Ryo rallied the players, insisting they had to win. Everyone answered in affirmation except Naruto and Nagi, who remained focused and calm. Emerging from the tunnel, they found Team Z waiting with serious expressions. Isagi thought that they would meet Naruto again. Team Z kicked off, Kunigami and Isagi taking control in midfield. Kunigami passed to Isagi, who advanced briefly before coming under pressure from two opponents. Unable to get past them, Isagi passed to Imamura, who drove forward and slipped the ball to Naruhaya. Naruhaya continued the run and fed Bakira, who was alone and moved with graceful dribbling, weaving past opponents. Naruto intercepted Bakira with a sudden burst of speed, surprising Bakira and his teammates. Isagi was taken aback, having expected Bakira to get past Naruto. Naruto then curled a precise pass toward Nagi, who, despite being marked by Raichi and Imamura, rose and executed a scissor kick, scoring the first goal for Team V. Isagi cursed under his breath, having focused too much on Naruto and underestimated the others. Kunigami calmed him, reminding him that it was just one goal and they could come back. From the restart, Isagi passed to Chijiri, who sprinted away from almost everyone. Chijiri heard Naruto's voice and was surprised to find the red-haired player suddenly at his side. He wondered when Naruto had gotten there. Naruto capitalized on the moment, stole the ball from Chijiri, and raced toward the opposing goal. His speed left Team Z scrambling. By the time they reacted, he had already pulled away. Naruto arrived at the area and fired a powerful, clean shot that flew into the upper left corner of the net. He celebrated with both arms raised and a smile, while the opposing players froze at what they had just witnessed. Isagi whispered that it couldn't be, eyes wide, unable to match Naruto's speed. Even his new, recently acquired metafiction weapon could not keep up with Naruto. Naruto walked toward Ryo, indicating that it was Ryo's turn to mark him. Ryo nodded and waited calmly for the kickoff. Kunigami received the ball outside the box and, seeing no one to pass to, prepared to shoot, but the ball had already moved from his feet. Naruto moved past Kunigami and whispered that he was too slow, while Kunigami's attempt to stop him proved useless. Naruto ran down the center, passed quickly to Nagi, who returned the ball with a 1-2. Naruto saw Ryo in the penalty area and cued a curved pass so the ball met Ryo's head. Ryo's powerful header became the third goal for their team. The whistle blew to end the first half with a score of 3. In Team Z's locker room, every player sat with their heads down. They had come to win, but from the start they had been outclassed by the best team in their bracket. Isagi felt the most humiliated. He had tried to face Naruto using his metafiction, hoping it would let him read Naruto, but instead he suffered humiliation after humiliation. Every time Isagi tried to use his ability, it felt as if Naruto could not be read. All the possible paths to his goal were shut down by Naruto, which angered and frustrated him, but at the same time excited him. If he could overcome Naruto, he would be one step closer to being the best in the world. Igarashi told the others that they needed to come up with something or they would be routed again. Imamura responded that there was nothing to think, they had been completely outmatched. He listed their strengths: Chijiri's speed, Bakira's dribbling, Kunigami's powerful shot, and Isagi's vision of the game, and said all had been overcome. Igarashi fell silent after hearing that. Kunigami, serious and reluctant, suggested they at least try to prevent conceding more goals. It was the only way to avoid a total rout and elimination. Isagi proposed they hold their shape and look for a counterattack, and everyone agreed. Back on the pitch, Team Z shifted into a more defensive formation, which gave Team V the confidence to press. Naruto smiled, saying that if Team Z planned to play defensively for the remainder, it would be his chance to show more of what he could do. His eyes glinted with a dangerous intensity. Ryo barely touched the ball before Naruto was already sprinting, leaving Isagi and Kunigami struggling to catch up. The red-haired forward's high-speed dribbling left Team Z's defenders sprawling as if in a blur. Their only view was a red streak and golden eyes darting past them, unable to intervene. Raichi, knowing he could not stop Naruto, made a desperate sliding tackle. Naruto, seeing the slide, shifted the ball slightly with his right foot to let Raichi pass and then, suddenly free, struck the ball with his right leg. The shot flew like a cannon, skimming past the goalkeeper, who remained rooted in place. The crowd erupted as the goal made the score 5. Team Z struggled to breathe. They were exhausted and barely able to keep running. All they wanted was for time to run out. The final whistle sounded and Team V emerged victorious, Naruto completing a hat trick. From a screen above the field, Igo addressed the 5 teams gathered in their places and announced the final standings. He declared Team V first with 12 points, Team Z second with 6 points, Team Y third with 6 points, Team W fourth with 4 points, and Team X fifth with 4 points. He reviewed the match results. Team V defeated Team W 8-0 and Team X 12-1. Team Z beat Team X 5-1 and lost to Team V 5-3. Team Y's notable results included a 4-3 win and a 3-1 victory in other fixtures. Ego named the top scorers from the other teams as Ikiniko for Team Y, Shuibara for Team X, and the Wanama brothers for Team W. He then instructed the advancing teams to gather their belongings and proceed to the next challenge. Ego then explained that the second selection would be divided into 5 stages. The first stage was a rapid trial in which participants would have to score 100 goals in a limited time, and the details of the second stage would be revealed only to those who passed. Naruto noticed that none of the players were moving and let out a sigh. He walked over to the ball, picked up 2 of them, and drew everyone's attention. Naruto thought that if he wanted to become the best in the world, he had to show everyone he could be the best. He placed both balls on the ground and struck one with his right foot. It flew into the air at high speed. Without hesitation, he struck the other with his left foot. To everyone's surprise, the 2 balls curved perfectly in the air and collided in a precise, elegant arc. Naruto turned to Nagi and Ryo, smiled, and walked through the door amid the astonished gazes of the others. In the second selection's first stage, Naruto found himself in a square area. A goalkeeper and an additional goal appeared in front of him, while another goal formed behind him. Ego explained to Uzumaki that for this test he had to score 100 goals in 90 minutes. Ego asked Naruto through a screen if he could do it, and the red-haired Naruto smiled in response. Naruto scoffed at the idea of scoring only 100 goals and told Ego not to underestimate him. A ball fell from the ceiling. Naruto controlled it easily while he watched the goalkeeper. Blue Lock Man Ego smiled, turned off the screen, and left Naruto alone with the challenge. Ego told Naruto he would see how good he was at stopping his fire shot, and Naruto struck the ball with his right foot at such speed that the goalkeeper, though designed to track every ball, could only watch it pass by. In an office filled with monitors showing the players in the project, a black-haired man with a bowl cut watched the feeds. Anri asked Ego what his goal with Uzumaki was. Ego explained that Naruto was not just a rough diamond like the others but an entire mine of diamonds, a prodigy unlike any other, and that even Sai's younger brother, the Real Madrid player, could not compare. Ego noted that Naruto had finished his trial around the 61st minute. Anri expressed amazement that Uzumaki had scored the required goals so quickly, and Ego smiled, calling him a mine of pure, shining gold. Naruto entered a room that appeared empty and, confused, wondered if he had the wrong place. Ego's voice came from a screen, confirming that Naruto was in the correct room and that he had been the first to pass the first trial. Naruto lay down on one of the sofas and waited. After a few minutes the door opened and a black-haired young man with light green eyes, surprised to see someone there, asked who he was. Naruto opened one eye and identified himself as Uzumaki Naruto. The newcomer introduced himself as Itosha Rin and reacted to Naruto's casual comment about being Sai's younger brother with visible annoyance. Rin told Naruto it was none of his business and sat as far away as possible. A tall, long-haired youth arrived next and noted that he was not the first to reach the room. He ignored the others briefly. Ego appeared on the screen again to explain the second stage. He told the 3 first arrivals that they were the top 3, Naruto as number 1, Rin as number 2, and the new arrival, Ryu, as number 3. Ego outlined the rules. They would form teams of 3 and play against other trios. The winning side would choose one player from the losing team to advance to the third stage. The third stage would be similar but expanded, and if they won, they would select another player to form a 5-player squad that would face a world-class top team. The 3 young players reacted with surprise and excitement at the prospect of eventually playing against top international players. Ryu asked whether they would be a team, and Naruto shrugged and told Ryu to ask the emo guy, referring to Rin. Rin, annoyed but practical, agreed that forming a team with the 3 best players in Blue Lock would be faster than waiting for others. Ryu sat on a sofa to wait for an opposing team. A few minutes later a trio entered: Nagi, Ryo, and a bespectacled player named Zantetsu. Naruto greeted Ryo and Nagi. Zantetsu observed Naruto silently, taking in his reputation. Ryo asked if they wanted to play, and Naruto smiled, warning them not to cry when they lost. Ryu agreed with the confidence, and Rin nodded with quiet resolve. The match began. The red team of Naruto, Rin, and Ryu faced the white team of Ryo, Nagi, and Zantetsu. Anri announced that the first team to score 5 goals would win the match. The red team kicked off. Ryu passed quickly to Rin, who was immediately pressured by Ryo. Rin used a deft feint to slip past Ryo and return the ball to Ryu. With his height and long limbs, Ryu controlled the ball on his chest and spotted Nagi ahead. The long-haired Nagi fed the ball to Naruto, who was being marked by Zantetsu. Naruto executed a quick nutmeg between Zantetsu's legs and followed with a precise shot into the goal. The scoreboard read Red Team won. White Team Naruto praised Ryu for the excellent pass, and Ryu smiled in return. The game resumed with the white team moving the ball rapidly between them. Ryo carried the ball but was closely marked by Naruto. Naruto performed a clean sliding tackle in an athletic, anime-style motion and regained possession for his team. A long pass found Rin, who was unmarked in the box, and he finished it with a clean strike. The scoreboard read Red 2. White Ryo urged his teammates to wake up. They nodded in agreement. White took the restart, and Ryo quickly passed to Zantetsu. Zantetsu sprinted down the right flank and sent a low cross into the area for Nagi, who volleyed the ball with his right foot. Nagi's finish hit the net and the scoreboard moved to Red 2. White Ryo praised Nagi for the goal, and Nagi acknowledged the compliment with a bored expression. Ryu noted that they had scored, while Naruto, adopting a serious expression, insisted that would be the only goal White would get and took control of the ball. Naruto fed a pass to Rin, who advanced and slipped the ball to Ryu. Ryu used elegant control to get past Ryo and returned the ball to Naruto. Naruto executed a quick flick over an opponent and sent the ball forward toward Nagi, who attempted a heel strike. Naruto reacted faster, seized the ball, and launched a high, powerful pass into the box. Marked by Zantetsu, Ryu rose above the defenders and powered a header toward goal. The ball hit the back of the net, and the score became Red 3. White Nagi told Ryo that the match was getting interesting. For the first time he showed visible excitement, and a fierce intensity seemed to flash across his features. Ryo smiled and moved to the center of the field, then played the ball into Nagi, who displayed cat-like agility and linked up with Zantetsu to surprise Ryu. Nagi tried a feint to get past Naruto, but Naruto used his speed and positioning to stop him. Naruto then stepped back slightly and, with a deft heel touch, redirected the ball forward again. Naruto urged Nagi to try harder if he wanted to get past him. Zantetsu seized the moment, received the ball in a blur of speed, and sprinted away, leaving Nagi and Naruto behind. Ryo burst into a sprint to chase him. Naruto closed in on Zantetsu, cutting him off and quickly stealing the ball. He fired it at Rin, who brought it down on his chest and readied himself to shoot. Ryo jumped to block the shot, but Rin unleashed a powerful left-footed strike that curved into the far corner. The net bulged and the scoreboard read Red 4. White Ryo thought that the 3 opposing players were something else entirely. He had known Naruto was talented, but he had not expected to find another equally formidable player. Ryo wondered if this was the power of Blue Lock's top trio as they waited for the restart. Nagi told Ryo that it was not over yet and insisted they could still mount a comeback with 4 more goals. Ryo agreed, and Zantetsu echoed the determination. Ryo walked back toward the center, motivated by his teammates' resolve. Ryo took the ball and scanned the red team's formation with renewed focus. He smiled, passed to Nagi, and Nagi combined with Zantetsu in a 1-2 that sent the ball toward Ryu. But that passing wall was quickly broken by Naruto, who took the ball between his feet again. Naruto announced with a cold voice that it was time to finish this and then surged forward in a burst of speed, leaving Nagi and Zantetsu behind as they tried to stop him. Without bothering to look at Ryo, who rushed in with a sliding tackle, Naruto lifted the ball with a touch and leapt over the surprised Ryo. From the ground, Ryo could only watch as Naruto remained unstoppable and scored the 5th and final goal of the match. The red team led 5-1 over the white team. Anri declared that the red team had won the match and could choose one of the 3 players who had lost. Airyu asked his 2 teammates who they should pick. Rin suggested that Airyu choose, reminding him that Airyu had played with those opponents in the first phase and would know them best. Naruto smiled and stepped forward to look at Ryo, Nagi, and Zantetsu, then told Nagi to come with them. Nagi rose calmly from the ground and agreed. Rin announced that they should leave, and Nagi told Ryo they would see each other in the finals. Ryo nodded and watched the new team of 4 walk away. After their victory, the newly formed 4-member team settled into a room provided by Ego, with 4 beds for their comfort. 2 of the players rested while the other 2 trained in the practice hall, facing off one-on-one. Naruto watched Rin sprawled on the ground, sweaty and breathing hard, and challenged him with a smirk, noting how exhausted Rin looked. Rin told himself that if he could not beat Naruto now, he would never manage to beat his brother, and forced himself to stand despite the fatigue in his body. Naruto called the session finished for the day, tossing the ball aside and heading toward the exit with his hands in his pockets. Rin cried out that it was not over, and Naruto looked back over his shoulder with a raised eyebrow. Naruto turned and saw Rin standing with a ball at his feet. Naruto sighed, took his hands from his pockets, and nodded. He teased Rin by calling him Emo Kid, and Rin smiled and sprinted forward to face Naruto once more. Bakira asked Iseijai if he was sure about their plan. Iseijai answered with quiet confidence that he believed they could beat the red team and added that no other teams had 4 players, so they needed 1 more to advance to the next round. Iseijai's team consisted of Bakira, Chijiri, and Bar. The 4 now stood face-to-face with the strongest quartet in Blue Lock. Airyu observed that the challengers wanted to play them. Nagi displayed his usual indifference. Naruto asked Rin if they should accept, and Rin, arms crossed as always, agreed, noting that they needed 1 more player to pass the round. Naruto then opened his arms with a smile and declared that they would play. Second match. Red team, Naruto, Rin, Airyu, Nagi. White team, Iseijai, Bakira, Chijiri, Bar. The white team kicked off. Iseijai passed the ball to Bakira, who used his dribbling to get past players and send it to Nagi and Airyu before returning the ball to Baru, who drove forward and passed back to Iseijai. As Iseijai began to move, Rin intercepted without trouble, stole the ball, and immediately fed it to Airyu. Airyu crossed perfectly to Naruto, who volleyed it into the net. Naruto's volley put the red team ahead 1. The white team resumed play quickly, with Iseijai sending the ball to Chijiri, who sprinted into the attacking area and slid a through pass to Baru for a shot on goal. Naruto anticipated the play and blocked the shot, having read the move like an open book. Frustrated, Iseijai rushed to try to steal the ball from Naruto, but Naruto executed a flashy nutmeg that left Iseijai on the ground in a moment of humiliation. Naruto then fired a powerful pass to Rin, who tapped it to Nagi. Nagi feinted past Bakira and lofted the ball toward Airyu, whose header struck the right post and denied the red team a second goal. Nagi and Bakira combined with a quick 1-2 to cross midfield, and Bakira fed Chijiri, who passed to Iseijai. Iseijai slipped free of Rin's marking for a few vital seconds and used the opportunity to finish the play, sending the ball into the net. Iseijai's goal leveled the score at 1. Naruto observed that Iseijai had improved significantly since their first encounter, noting the clear difference between the earlier student player and the one he faced now. It was the first time the match had been tied 1-1. Airyu remarked to Nagi that they almost always scored 3 goals before the opponents even got one, and Nagi remained silent. Naruto told Rin that they were ready, and Rin nodded, signaling the restart of the match for both teams. Naruto passed to Rin, who sent a long ball to Nagi. Nagi controlled the ball and volleyed across toward Airyu. The long-haired player, surrounded by Baru and Chijiri, headed the ball to Naruto, who volleyed it toward Rin. Rin struck the ball mercilessly into the net, and the announcer called the goal. The red team led the white team 2-1. Iseijai cursed under his breath as he watched the red team's flawless play and wondered if this was the level of Blue Lock's best players while studying Naruto and Rin. He noted that the two seemed to understand each other without words, their connection making their combination powerful and precise. Iseijai told himself that they were the walls he would overcome, and he urged his teammates to keep fighting, which they acknowledged with a nod. He passed to Bakura, who used a feint to shake off Nagi and then fed the ball back to Isegai at the last moment. Isegai took in the field, concentrating and using his mental simulation to visualize the best route to goal, but pressure closed in around him. Recognizing that a direct challenge would be futile, he passed to Baru, barely avoiding Aryu's attempted interception. Baru, with the ball at his feet, burst forward, leaving Nagi and Aryu behind. He laid it off to Bakura, whose trick confused Rin. Bakura returned it to Baru, and Baru struck it with full force into the net. The announcer called the goal, and the score became tied at 2 apiece. Baru declared himself the king of the field with a smile aimed at Naruto and Rin. Naruto watched, eyes bright with anticipation, thinking that the match was becoming even more exciting than he had expected. Rin took position at the center to restart and pass to Aryu, who touched it to Nagi in the air. Nagi flicked the ball with his heel to Naruto, who fixed his gaze on the opposing goal. Naruto said he would show a bit of his magic, walking calmly before exploding into a sprint that outpaced everyone's reaction. He drove forward, weaving through the opposing players as if they were cones. Isegai thought that Naruto's speed was terrifying as Naruto reached the rival goal and finished without trouble. The announcer called another goal, and the red team led 3-2. Baru muttered angrily as he watched Naruto walk back to his position with his head held high and a regal stride. Chidori acknowledged that Naruto's speed was far superior to his own, but he resolved with serious confidence to become faster and eventually match or surpass him. Aryu praised the move as magnificent and referred to Naruto as the Scarlet Prince, which surprised Naruto because he did not know the nickname. Aryu explained that the name came from the way Naruto moved like a prince, directing his teammates while dispatching opponents, and from his red hair. Naruto admitted he was unaware of the nickname but said he liked it. Isegai worried about how to mount a comeback, noting that the red team outclassed them in many aspects and that Naruto and Rin were exceptionally skilled. Naruto called to Rin and told him that it was time to put the match to rest, and Rin agreed. Isegai tried to find a gap with the ball at his feet, but the red team had blocked all passing lanes. He snapped out of his thoughts when he felt pressure and saw Naruto closing in. Knowing he would lose a one-on-one, Isegai made the logical choice and passed to Chidori, who attempted a shot that Nagi blocked. The lazy genius controlled the rebound and struck it powerfully toward Naruto. Isegai and Baru reacted instantly and positioned themselves to stop it, with Baru diving and causing Naruto to fall at the edge of the area. The referee awarded a free kick to the red team, surprising the white team. Naruto prepared to take the free kick as Isegai and Chidori formed the wall. At the whistle, Naruto took a breath, adjusted his steps to the left, ran forward, and unleashed a powerful right foot strike. The ball flew over the wall and landed in the upper right corner of the goal. The red team scored, bringing the score to 4. Isegai cursed in his mind for not jumping, having frozen as he watched the ball sail past him. Bakura reassured his friend, and Isegai nodded, still annoyed at himself. Aryu praised the free kick, and Naruto smiled calmly. Naruto then looked at his teammates with seriousness and urged them to score one more to finish the match. Isegai told the others that they had to prevent another goal at all costs, and everyone fell into a focused silence. Bakura clenched his right fist and told himself that he had not been able to do anything in the match so far and that he would show everyone who he really was, his eyes shining with determination. Baru prepared to receive the ball, but a blur suddenly stole it, surprising him and everyone else. Baru shouted in surprise as Bakura stared straight ahead. Bakura raised his voice and called himself the monster while a black and yellow aura with a monstrous shape seemed to envelop him. Aryu moved to take the ball from Bakura, but Bakura executed a pirouette and a feint, passing to Nagi, who watched the play unfold and allowed Bakura to end up face-to-face with Rin. Itoshire attempted to steal the ball quickly, but Bakura dodged the attempt, made the ball bounce, and flicked it over the astonished Rin with the tip of his foot. Near the penalty area, Bakura knew a one-on-one against Naruto would be impossible, so he struck the ball powerfully toward the left post. The shot found the net, and the red team pulled within 1-4. Isegai ran toward Bakura, shouting his praise, and Bakura simply smiled. Naruto admitted he had not expected Bakura to have such a high level of dribbling skill. Rin asked Naruto to pass the ball and promised to finish it, and Naruto nodded in agreement. The white team, energized by the chance for a comeback, took their positions ready for the restart. Naruto, eager to end the match quickly, passed to Nagi. Nagi used a quick feint to get past Isejai and then passed to Airyu, who fed Rin. Rin quickly shifted the ball to Baru and Bakira before returning it to Naruto. Isejai shouted for his teammates not to let Naruto shoot and sprinted toward him. Naruto smiled and sent a cross to Rin. Itoshir set himself to volley with his right foot, and just as everyone expected a goal, Chidori raced at full speed and caused the ball to hit the crossbar. Isejai thought the ball was still in play and ran toward it, but a red blur sped past him. Naruto struck the ball with his left foot and sent it into the net. The red team led 5. After the final whistle, the red team had won and gained the right to choose a player. Airyu suggested choosing the Monster Kid, and Nagi considered whether Isejai might be a competent pick. Naruto explained that he had already chosen and left the next selection to Rin. Rin called out for Isejai to come with them, and Isejai began walking toward the exit with the new team. He attempted to speak, but his teammates cut him off. Bakira calmly told Isejai to accept the choice before anyone changed their minds, and Chidori asked Isejai to wait for them. Baru taunted Isejai by calling him small and promising to challenge him. Isejai said he would wait on the other side and then walked out with his new team. Ego appeared on a screen and congratulated the 5 for being the first team to complete the second selection. Ego explained that before the third selection they would play a 5-on-5 match against top world players and reminded them that they needed to score 5 goals to win. Naruto grew impatient with Ego's long explanation and wanted to get straight to the point, but Ego smiled ominously and opened a door. The 5 players passed through the door and walked down a corridor to its end, where they were met by an imposing 5-man team of world-class players. Dada Silva, a muscular player from Brazil, taunted them in English and made a remark about the Japanese players' builds. Isejai asked who the 5 were, and Naruto pointed out each of them while also noting that Dada's words carried a mocking tone. Naruto identified the man with crossed arms as Adon Black, a serious-looking player from England. Adon observed Naruto and noted that the younger boy seemed to understand. Dada commented again that Naruto appeared to have a physique superior to the other 4 opponents. Naruto continued to introduce the rest. The multicolored-haired player was Pablo Cavazos from Argentina. The blonde, green-eyed player was Leonardo Luna, who played for Real Madrid and represented Spain, and the young prodigy was Julian Loki, who played for PXG and belonged to France's national team. The 5 players before them represented 5 of the world's football powers. Naruto noticed with a smile that the quintet did not mince words. Dada declared confidently that this would be a piece of cake against the young players. Naruto warned the quintet not to be so sure of themselves. Dada, smiling as he faced Naruto, asked if the boy thought he could win against players like them. Naruto responded with confidence, and the red-haired player's smile made the quintet take him more seriously. Leonardo stepped between Dada and Naruto and asked Naruto for his name. Naruto identified himself as Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Adon walked up and noted that Naruto was the son of Minato Namikaze. Loki observed that he hoped Naruto was as good as his father, and Naruto met his gaze. Anri announced over the loudspeaker that the first team to score 5 goals would win and that the Blue Lock players would take the first kickoff. The Blue Lock team wore red uniforms while the World Quintet wore white. Naruto passed to Rin, who advanced until meeting Adon. Itoshir touched the ball to Isejai, who managed to get past Cavazos and then passed to Airyu. Airyu lofted the ball to Nagi, who delivered a cross to Naruto. Without letting the ball touch the ground, Naruto struck a volley into the opponent's goal for the first score. The red team led 1. Leonardo praised the play with a smile. Adon reminded everyone of why they were playing, and Dada answered that one of the reasons was the payment, 1 million euros for each goal. Loki passed the ball to Adon, who began to advance until Airyu and Rin marked him. Adon then passed to Pablo, who crossed to Dada. Dada jumped to head the ball, and though Airyu also leapt, the Brazilian's physical strength gave him the advantage and Dada's header found the net. The score became 1. Isejai thought their play was incredible and admitted he could not read any of the quintet's movements. Naruto agreed that they were professional-level players and suggested not to be too surprised. Blue Lock kicked off again, and Naruto passed directly to Iseijai, who ran forward until Julius Loki stopped him. Loki took control and began a fast run toward the opposing goal. He encountered Rin, Airyu, and Nagi standing in his path, but he accelerated and weaved past them in a rapid zigzag, questioning aloud why there were always so many holes to navigate. Just as Loki prepared to shoot, a streak of red Naruto appeared in front of him, surprising the French player with his speed. Naruto swiftly stole the ball from Loki and passed it hard to Rin. Outside the penalty area, Rin controlled the ball and struck a right-footed shot that sank into the net. The red team moved ahead too. Pablo admitted he had not expected anyone to match Loki's speed, and Loki, smiling, acknowledged that Naruto had nearly equaled him. Leonardo told his teammates they could not look bad in front of a child and urged them to start playing seriously. The match intensified. The following minutes turned into a decisive and humbling defeat for Blue Lock against the World Quintet once the opponents began to play at full seriousness. No one on the rival team could match them at that point. The only Blue Lock players who still managed to make a difference were Naruto and Rin. When the score reached 4-2 in favor of the World Quintet, Naruto grew serious and scored a stunning goal that left the quintet surprised. Naruto's goal came from midfield. At first everyone thought he had lost control, but to their astonishment the shot looped through the air and curved sharply into the net, leaving everyone in shock. That goal narrowed the score to 4-3, but Naruto and his team ultimately could not mount a comeback and the match ended 5-3 in favor of the World Quintet. Before leaving the room, Loki approached Naruto and offered the possibility of playing together in the near future. Naruto accepted the offer. The chapter ended with the team of Naruto, Rin, Airyu, Nagi, and Iseijai. They were resting after their match against the World Quintet. The 5 players were taking a language class on Igo's orders, since Igo insisted that a player should know the language of the country where they might play. Anri instructed the 5 to put on their uniforms and gather in the central meeting room. Naruto, bored, rose to change and was followed by the others. Anri announced over the loudspeaker that the 7 groups, 35 members in total, had advanced successfully and that members would be admitted in the order they had passed selection. Iseijai thought that the next stage had finally arrived as he walked behind Naruto and Rin. Anri called the first team in. Naruto led the group with Rin on his right, Airyu on his left, Nagi behind Naruto, and Iseijai at the rear. Naruto expected to be first and was not surprised. Anri called the second team. Nagi recognized Ryo among Baru, Chijiri, Bakura, and Zantetsu. Chijiri greeted Iseijai, Baru teased him, and Bakura congratulated him, noting that Iseijai's advancement was not unexpected given his team. The third and fourth teams were admitted in turn. When the fifth team entered, only one face was recognized, Nikki from Team Y, which Iseijai noted. The sixth team came in. Several of that group stumbled and fell to the floor as everyone watched. Iseijai recognized Raichi and Gagamaru from Team Z among them. Naruto remarked with surprise that one of the twins had made it this far. The seventh and final team entered. Hirashi passed, much to the attention of Iseijai, Chijiri, Bakura, Raichi, and Gagamaru. He entered with a smile. Behind that trio came a nervous-looking boy who kept his eyes on everyone. The last entrant was a dark-skinned young man with blonde hair and pink streaks, whose confident entrance surprised Iseijai. Iseijai asked Igarashi where Kunigami was, and Igarashi diverted his gaze and stopped smiling without answering. Anri's voice then announced that all of them had advanced to the third round of selection. Iseijai demanded to know if Kunigami would let things end like this, expressing his anger. Shido approached Iseijai and claimed that he had taken care of the matter. Before tensions escalated further, Naruto stepped between Iseijai and Shido and made it clear that he did not care for arguing about Kunigami then and that they could settle things later. Igo appeared on a screen, adjusting his glasses, and warned them to stop wasting time arguing about those who had been eliminated. He announced that 23 of them would be chosen to play against Japan's under-20 team in 3 weeks and that the under-20 squad would be led by Edoshire SE, whose image Igo displayed. Igo explained that if they defeated the under-20 team, they could take that team's spot in the national under-20 selection. He also warned that if they lost, Blue Lock would be dissolved, a statement that shocked many. Naruto asked how they were supposed to play, pointing out that a team composed only of forwards could not realistically win against a full national squad. Igo acknowledged the point and said that a proper team needed forwards, midfielders, defenders, and a goalkeeper. He announced that the Blue Lock formation for the upcoming match would hinge on the next 6 names he would call, designating those players as the top 6 to form a team over the next 3 weeks. Igo then began with the first selection, jersey number 1, the only player who had scored 2 goals against the World Quintet. Igo showed the image of Uzumaki Naruto. Igo then showed the image of Itosha Rin as number 2. Iseiji watched both boys calmly and thought that he also wanted to be named. Igo continued by displaying Shido Ryusei as number 3. Igarashi looked at Shido and asked if he was really that good, and Shido only smiled broadly. Igo showed Karasu Tebito as number 4, and Karasu relaxed with his hands in his pockets, smiling. Igo named Otaya Ida as number 5. Finally, Igo announced Nagi Saishiro as the last player, which made those not named tense. Yukimiya Kenyu asked Igo what criteria he had used to name those 6 players. Igo explained that, except for Naruto and Nagi, the rest of the names were the only players who had managed to score a goal against the World Quintet. He clarified that Naruto was singled out because he had scored 2 goals against the world top, and that Igo had himself seen Nagi as someone capable of breaking into the top without problems. When Yukimiya had no further questions, Igo thanked him. Igo then explained the next phase. The top 6 would be separated in descending order and assigned to ranks A, B, and C, creating 3 groups. The remaining 29 players would choose which team to join, and each team had to consist of 5 members. Once formed, each team would play a 5v5 match. The top 6 would remain with Igo while the others chose their teams. Igo turned off the screen, leaving only the images of the 3 groups. Team A, Naruto and Rin. Team B, Shido and Karasu. Team C, Otaya and Nagi. A short time later, in a large room with 6 seats occupied by the members of the named Top 6, Igo appeared on a big screen in front of them. Igo addressed them calmly at first, then grew serious. He explained that fighting to reach this point proved that they were the elite of Blue Lock. As the elite, Igo had tuned each of the teams A, B, and C. Their duty was to teach him new attacks that he could not yet perform alone. He told them to think of others as tools they could use to become the best forwards in the world and warned them not to let anyone outside the top 6 take their places. He finished by saying that the football they created would become the sword that could change Japanese football. The screen went dark. 24 hours remained before the deadline for team selection for the rest of the players. Iseiji was in a large room surrounded by many screens, watching all the matches the top 6 had played so far. He found the decision difficult. Everyone was good, but if he wanted to surpass certain players, the only way would be to play with them. He decided which team to choose and reached for his phone to make his selection. Anri's announcement soon echoed through the area, informing everyone that the time limit had ended and that the final stage of the 3rd selection would begin. All players were asked to put on their uniforms and gather promptly. Later, the remaining 29 players assembled in the meeting room and looked at a large screen showing the 3 teams and the players assigned to each. Team A, Naruto and Rin, total 12 Saira, Nanace, Aryu, Ishigaki, Bakura, Haichi, Igarashi, Kurona, Iseiji, Nishioka, Hayari, Tokimitsu. Team B, Shido and Karasu, total 9 Bru, Yuzu, Saramadara, Raichi, Shiguma, Nico, Chijiri, Sakura, Hiragi. Team C, Otaya and Nagi, total 8 Saduji, Tanaka, Tsurugi, Heki, Gagamaru, Wanama, Himizu, Mikichi. Anri informed everyone that there would be 5 matches. Meguro Bakira would have to play in 2 matches as a member of Team C, which surprised some but was not made into a major issue. After each match there would be 6 hours of rest, and to keep things fair, players would not be allowed to watch the other matches. The first match was scheduled to be Team A versus Team B. Anri announced that the 6 members of each team would be chosen at random, and a roulette with all the names appeared on the screen. The roulette spun and stopped on Nanace Niger. Anri named Nanace, who nodded as the wheel spun again and stopped on another name. Anri then named Hyori Yo, who stepped forward and took his place beside Nanace. The third chosen was Iseijai Yoichi, who looked surprised to be picked so quickly. After announcing the first 3 players for Team A, the roulette spun again to choose the 3 players for Team B. Anri named Shiguma Kyuhi, who stepped forward with a serious expression. Saramidara Kairu was next and stepped up to stand beside Shiguma. The final pick was Chijiri Hayoma, who stepped forward and adjusted a lock of hair. Anri instructed both teams to put on their jerseys and to pass through the door marked with their letter. A small pillar with jerseys rose in front of everyone. Nanace shouted to Iseijai to hurry, and Iseijai moved quickly to join him. The 3 of them entered through the door marked A. The players arrived at a field where the 2 strongest members of Blue Lock, Naruto and Rin, were already waiting. Naruto balanced a ball on his head as he greeted Iseijai, and Iseijai registered that he would be the first to play against them. Hyori looked across at the other side where Team B had entered and noticed Shido and Karasu among them. Shido taunted Naruto with confidence, while Naruto returned the challenge with a dismissive remark and a quick feint that left Shido surprised. Naruto passed the ball to Rin with a neat 3-finger touch. Rin received it and was immediately marked by Karasu. Karasu approached Rin with a comment about his brother, which annoyed Rin. Rin faked to the right and slipped past Karasu with a swift move, but Shiguma and Saramidara quickly closed off Rin's path. Iseijai called to Rin to pass the ball, sprinted down the side, and was noticed by a dark-haired player who passed to him. Iseijai thought to himself that he had to show what he could do and linked up with Hyori and Nanace on a fast counterattack. When they approached the goal, Iseijai passed to Rin, who was momentarily clear, only for Karasu to intercept the ball with a sudden appearance and a taunting smile about how easy Iseijai was to read. Chijiri shouted that the ball was still in play as it bounced freely in the penalty area. Saramidara moved in to take control, but Naruto intervened with a blur of movement and a confident claim on the ball, his back to the goal with Saramidara and Shiguma preventing an easy turn. Iseijai thought quickly about the best way to score. Everyone fell silent as Naruto performed an unexpected technique, flicking the ball up and then sending it into the net with a powerful heel strike to score in surprising fashion. The scoreboard read Team A 1-0 Team B. Team B recovered their composure and prepared to respond, with Shido walking up to take the kickoff. Team A immediately pressured to stop the attack, but Shido and Karasu combined in a quick give-and-go that left Iseijai, Hyori, and Nanace behind. Shido readied his shot and struck the ball toward the goal, but Naruto made a stylish save, landing on his feet with the ball at his control. Naruto challenged the aggressors with a cold confidence, then curved the ball through the air into Iseijai's path. Emerging from surprise, Iseijai launched a counterattack and linked up perfectly with Hyori and Nanace. When Iseijai set up Rin in front of the goal, Karasu reappeared out of nowhere to deflect the pass, declaring that Iseijai was predictable. The ball remained in play, bouncing. In the area, Saramidara prepared to move for it, but Naruto anticipated the play and, with quick footwork and precise timing, redirected the ball into the net with a spectacular heel flick that secured the second goal for Team A. Iseijai mentally screamed in disbelief that Naruto had struck the ball with his heel while facing away and without looking. Igo watched the match from his office, not alone. 2 others were with him. Anri exclaimed that the play had been incredible as she watched the screen where Naruto's heel strike appeared. A young man behind them chuckled that Naruto certainly had not changed at all, smiling at the image. Igo turned in his chair and said he was surprised that such a young prospect had traveled so far to come here, and the young man stepped forward into the glow of the screen. The young man explained that, after hearing about the project and learning that his friend would participate, he had been curious to see it. Anri asked Igo who the young man was, since Igo had only told him to bring the visitor without explaining further. Igo replied that the newcomer was one of the 12 best youth players in the world, a Real Madrid player and a member of Brazil's under-20 national team. Igo named him Natureza, the Brazilian prospect, and Natureza smiled and greeted Anri politely. Natureza indicated that he would leave for now because it was not yet time to meet his old friend, And he also mentioned that Real Madrid would face Barcelona in a few days and he could not miss that match. Before leaving, Nachariza glanced once at the screen, thinking that his friend had better be ready. Everyone was eager to face him, and then he left the room. The atmosphere on the pitch felt heavy. The scoreboard read 4-0, Team B had not yet scored against Team A. Every attempt by Team B had been stopped easily by Naruto, who was demonstrating to everyone why he was Blue Lock's top player. Team B knew that if they let Naruto or Rin control the ball there would be no way to stop them. Both had dominated the field, and their cooperation had produced plays that looked rehearsed. Karasu muttered that he had not expected such a wide gap as he wiped sweat from his face after running all that time. Shido could not stop watching Naruto. The dark-haired player had been completely outmatched by the red-haired striker 4 times already. For Shido Ryusei, being outdone was a blow to his pride. He had never had a rival before, and everyone he faced had usually been crushed. Being surpassed by someone who did not even seem to be trying lit a fire inside him that would not go out easily. Iseijai thought that Naruto and Rin were doing almost all the work with a few neat passes between them. The rest of Team A was just along for the ride. He clenched his fist in frustration, wondering how he could ever surpass them when he could not even compete at their level. Naruto glanced at Rin with a bored expression and indicated he was ready to finish the match. Rin agreed without looking at his partner, and Naruto smiled. Chidori observed that it did not even look like Naruto and Rin were trying their hardest, and Saramadara asked whether he had expected less from the 2 best players. Karasu and Shido realized they could not rely on just the 2 of them this time. They had to build a coordinated play with the other 3 teammates if they wanted to score. Karasu took the kickoff but, instead of pushing forward himself, allowed his teammates to advance before sending a long pass to Shiguma. Using his height advantage, Shiguma blasted the ball to Chidori, who used his speed to beat Nanace and quickly touched the ball to Saramadara. Saramadara executed a sharp nutmeg to get past Hayuri. Naruto positioned himself in front of Saramadara and offered a calm smile, but the other player read a fierce intensity in Naruto's eyes that froze him for a moment. If Chidori had not come back to help, Saramadara would have lost the ball. Chidori immediately sent a pass into the box where Karasu was ready to finish. Iseijai moved beside Karasu, determined not to let him get the shot, but Karasu simply smiled and let the ball continue. Iseijai's surprise grew when the ball found its way to Shido's feet. Shido finished decisively, putting Team B on the board with their first goal. The scoreboard now read Team A 4. Team B. Chidori and Karasu shared a brief celebration, acknowledging that at least they had managed to score. Naruto then called to Iseijai and asked if he wanted to score a goal. Iseijai nodded, which made Naruto smile. Rin tapped Naruto, and Naruto played a first-touch lofted pass to Hayuri. Hayuri saw Nanace free and passed to him. Nanace received and returned the ball to Rin, who was being marked by Shido. Rin faked past Shido, who tried to grab his shirt to stop him, but Rin used his strength to send a long pass to Naruto, who was now alone in front of the goal. Karasu slid toward the ball to block it, but Naruto calmly lifted the ball with a touch and then volleyed it into the area where Saramadara and Shiguma rushed to clear. Naruto thought that Iseijai might be able to finish, and Karasu looked toward the box to see what would happen. Iseijai suddenly appeared in the penalty area, catching Saramadara and Shiguma by surprise. The ball took an unexpected curve in midair that only 2 players had anticipated: Naruto, who closed his eyes, and Iseijai, who reacted without hesitation and connected with a volley. Iseijai opened his eyes in astonishment to find that he had scored. He realized he had read the entire play that Naruto had set up for him, which made him wonder whether Naruto could also rely on some kind of perceptive intuition. The final whistle sounded. The game ended with a score of 5. Anri announced over the loudspeaker that Team A was the winner, and all the players from both teams relaxed. Naruto remarked that he had enjoyed the match, even if it meant lowering himself to Iseijai's level, and he looked at Iseijai lying on the ground after finishing his shot. Iseijai had fallen because of his own momentum. Iseijai murmured that he supposed it was a thank you, but he knew he could not claim a true victory over Naruto, since Naruto had used him to score the final goal that Rin might have scored instead. In the next 6 hours the match between Team A and Team C would take place. Iseijai, Nanace, and Hayari sat in an observation room watching the recording of their previous game. Nanace pointed out that it was incredible and asked the others to look at Uzumaki Naruto, noting how he had single-handedly left Team B on the ground, referring to the clip that showed Naruto's hat trick. Hayari observed that Naruto hardly knew the meaning of the word rival and seemed impossible to surpass. Watching him play that day had felt like seeing a powerful figure descend onto the field. Iseijai said seriously that what he had learned was that everyone had a weakness, and sooner or later he would find a way to use that weakness to surpass Uzumaki and become the best in the world, his eyes burning with determination. While they talked in the observation room, Naruto sat alone in another room in a lotus position, meditating. As he focused, a series of images came to him, a group of children who were clearly not Japanese playing on a beach with a ball, Naruto smiling and playing with that unusual group, and then a young Naruto looking sad as his friends prepared to leave Japan to return to their countries, before they promised each other that one day they would play together again. Naruto opened his eyes when someone knocked on the door. He stood and opened it to find Anri, who blushed and averted her gaze. Anri explained that she had come on behalf of Ego, who wanted to see him. Naruto told her to inform Ego that he would be there in a little while. Anri nodded and left, and Naruto closed the door behind her. Later, in another room where Ego usually met players, Naruto and Ego faced each other. Ego said that they needed to discuss something of great importance. He reminded Naruto that in about 130 days the U-20 World Cup would take place. Naruto acknowledged this. Ego then explained that Naruto was half Japanese on his mother's side, Kushina Uzumaki, and half German on his father's side, Minato Namikaze, and that the German National Football Federation had asked Naruto to travel to Germany to play for their U-20 team. Naruto said he had expected such an offer. His father had predicted it before his death. He told Ego that, under different circumstances, he would understand choosing Germany both because it was his father's homeland and because Germany was a stronger football nation, but for this tournament Naruto said he would play with Japan. Ego accepted the answer and allowed himself a small smile. Team A consisted of Naruto, Rin, Airyu, Igarashi, and Ishigaki. Opposite them, Team C lined up with Otaya, Nagi, Ryo, Gagamaru, and Tanaka. Ryo told Nagi that it would be better for Nagi to watch him, because Ryo intended to take his place among the top. Nagi agreed and walked toward the center with Otaya, urging the team forward and glancing at Naruto and Rin as they prepared. The match began with a smooth kickoff. Nagi passed the ball to Ryo and the Team C forwards sprinted ahead. Ryo and Nagi executed a quick wall pass that opened space past Rin. Airyu moved to mark Ryo, positioning himself in front of the advancing number 10. Ryo struck the ball with his right foot to bend it toward Nagi, who jumped to receive the pass only to be outleapt by a much larger figure. Ishigaki rose and headed the ball away cleanly. Ryo recognized Ishigaki as the tallest player at the school as Ishigaki landed and cleared the danger. The ball bounced and was quickly collected by Rin, who launched a swift counterattack without hesitation. Naruto combined with Rin so seamlessly that their passes seemed perfectly timed by instinct. Rin delivered a well-placed mid-height pass to Naruto, who immediately unleashed a powerful, focused shot that sailed into the net while the goalkeeper could not react in time. The scoreboard read Team A won. Team C Otaya restarted play without delay, passing to Gagamaru, who returned the ball with a controlled touch. The ninja quickly moved among Igarashi, Airyu, and Ishigaki, leaving the three surprised by his speed. Marked by the redhead Uzumaki Otaya, Otaya passed the ball to Ryo, who sent a shot toward the left corner. To their surprise, Nagi met the ball in the air, adjusted his body, and finished with his left foot to score the equalizer. Nagi apologized to Ryo for stealing the ball. Ryo recovered from his surprise and shook his head. Team A 1-1 Team C. Play resumed with Naruto passing to Airyu, who advanced alone before being stopped by Nagi. The quick black-haired boy slipped the ball to his teammate Ishigaki, who sent a high shot toward Naruto. Igarashi called to Naruto, asking to be used in the play. Naruto hesitated at the odd request but then passed the ball so Igarashi could quickly feed Rin. Rin tried to finish in one touch, but Otaya intercepted and blocked the shot. Otaya challenged Rin to see what the top two could do, and Rin set his face serious. Otaya attempted a feint to bypass Rin, but Rin did not fall for it and moved his foot to take the ball. When that failed, Otaya began a rapid sequence of stepovers to confuse Rin. Annoyed, Rin reacted with a sharp movement, striking the ball with the tip of his foot. The ball went a little past Otaya, who reacted quickly to chase it, but Ryo returned just in time with a strong pass to Gagamaru. Gagamaru touched it back to Ryo, who with a quick nutmeg passed to Ryu, leaving him surprised. Approaching the penalty area, Ryo faced Ishigaki, whose large frame made dribbling past him impossible. Risking everything, Ryo attempted the bending shot he had seen Naruto use. The ball curled past a surprised Ishigaki, who turned to watch it enter the net. Team A 1-2 Team C. Ryo thrilled silently at having copied Naruto's bending shot, unaware of the cold look Naruto gave him. Naruto hated being copied, and Ryo's imitation irritated him. Without a word, Naruto placed the ball at the center and prepared to show everyone who the top one was. Rin passed to Naruto, who used his speed and dribbling to leave all opponents on the ground. None could stop him. Outside the penalty area, Naruto prepared his strike. Lifting the ball slightly with his left foot, he pulled his right leg back and brought it down with power, sending the ball flying at great speed. The only sound was the impact of the ball against the net as the goalkeeper leapt in a last futile attempt to block it. Team A 2-2 Team C. With the score tied, both teams returned to their positions and Naruto and Rin maintained serious expressions. Rin praised the shot to Naruto, and Naruto nodded. Naruto resolved to score the remaining goals and finish the match. Team C took the kickoff, but Naruto and Rin would not allow them to build an attack. Naruto stole the ball from a surprised Ryo and delivered a cross toward Rin. Despite being marked by Gagamaru and Tanaka, Rin managed to turn and strike the ball with the tip of his toes, driving it into the net. Team A 3-2 Team C. Ryo wiped the sweat from his face and clenched his fists, incredulous at how quickly they had been overturned. He wondered if this was truly the level of Blue Lock's two best. They had practically needed no support from the team to score. Nagi, eyes burning with determination, assured Ryo that it was not over yet. Team C restarted, and this time Rin won the ball back. He passed to Igarashi, who, nervous at Otaya's approach, fed Ryu. Ryu controlled the ball and, looking up, saw Naruto send a fast pass that Naruto received without difficulty. Ryo positioned himself to stop him, but Naruto slipped a simple nutmeg around Ryo, who lost his balance and hit the ground. From the ground, Ryo watched Naruto push forward and send a through ball into the heart of the area. Gagamaru and Tanaka leapt with Ryu, but an even taller figure rose between them to reach the ball and set it for Rin, who halted his run and finished with a direct strike into the goal. Team A 4-2 Team C. Ishigaki tumbled to the ground and commented that the pass had been very good, watching Naruto smile. Igarashi asked how Naruto had known Ishigaki would get the cross. Naruto explained that he had sent the ball high because none of the three defenders could reach it and he expected Ishigaki to move it to Rin. Igarashi nodded in understanding. Ryo whispered that every movement Naruto made seemed measured to perfection. From the beginning Ryo had seen how Naruto did everything as if he already knew the outcome, and that was why it always worked. Nagi's voice pulled Ryo from his thoughts and Ryo met the white-haired player's determined gaze. Knowing it was only a matter of time before they fell behind, Team C hurried to take the kickoff. Nagi advanced and passed to Igarashi, who tried in vain to stop him. The white-haired player with precise ball control slipped the ball to Ishigaki, who used his height to pressure Nagi. Nagi returned the ball with a back heel toward Ryo. Ryo received the pass and saw Otaya unmarked, so he quickly delivered a lofted, curling pass toward the white-haired player. With remarkable agility, the white-haired player took the ball and shot directly at goal. The goalkeeper managed to stop the shot, sending the ball rebounding off the crossbar, and Naruto collected it. Without hesitation, Naruto pushed forward with Rin close behind. The two began exchanging the ball in a fast, clean, perfectly timed sequence. As they faced the goal, both prepared for a coordinated strike that left everyone watching stunned. Naruto lifted his right leg while planting his left firmly. Beside him, Rin mirrored the motion by lifting his left leg and planting his right. In unison they brought their legs down and struck the ball at the same instant. Spectators and cameras alike saw the ball propelled with such speed that the goalkeeper could not react. The ball flew past him in a blur. The goal put Team A ahead 5-2 over Team C. Silence fell as everyone watched Naruto and Rin compose themselves, meeting each other's gaze. Rin appeared to have a small smile while Naruto wore a wide grin. Anri announced over the loudspeaker that the match had ended and that Team A were the winners. Ryo stood shaken, a cold sweat and a chill running through him as he tried to process that shot. Ryu could only think that it had been wonderful, unable to find words to fully express the beauty of what had just happened. Anri then announced that both teams could withdraw to rest, and Naruto and Rin left the field together without looking back. Otaya watched them go and thought that the two were true monsters, a duo that would leave any opponent trembling. In the observation room, Hayari expressed amazement at how perfectly Naruto and Rin had combined. Iseijai noted that despite being outmatched, Ryo's contribution had also been remarkable, pointing out a replay that showed Ryo replicating one of Naruto's curved shots. Nanace asked nervously whether copying others could make someone invincible. Hayari replied that a copy is never quite the same as the original, and Iseijai agreed, saying that no matter how well Ryo copied a technique, he would not be able to use it at 100% of its original power. In a high-level meeting room of the Japan Football Association, Huchi Yasamori sat at a large table facing the association president, Hirotoshi Buritsuda. Yasamori accepted the responsibility entrusted to him and affirmed that, as coach of Japan's under-20 team, he would lead them to victory. Buritsuda expressed his expectations with a tense smile and stressed the goal, to prove that Igo's Blue Lock project was worthless. Yasamori agreed, voicing disdain for Igo's approach. Before they could leave the room, Itosher entered. He told them bluntly that he had just seen the under-20 team and found them lacking, especially their forwards. His harsh assessment left Buritsuda and Yasamori uneasy. Yasamori bristled at the insult to his team, but the conversation grew tense and left matters unsettled. A short silence followed as the three considered their next steps. Buritsuda told SAE that he could nominate anyone he wanted. SAE asked seriously if it could be anyone. Buritsuda smiled and said that as long as the nominee was Japanese, there would be no problem. SAE said that there was a striker from Blue Lock he wanted to play with, and his cold stare made both adults uneasy. All the Blue Lock players summoned by Igo were in a large room watching the match results on a huge screen. Iseijai looked at the standings with some annoyance and noted that Naruto and Rin had finished as the top two scorers. The match results showed that Team A had beaten Team B and Team C in every round. A door opened and Igo entered, surveying the young football prospects with an impassive face. He greeted them as unpolished gems and said there was no need for explanations, so he would get straight to the point. He walked to the board and prepared to speak. Yukimiya raised his hand to ask a question, and Igo invited him to speak. Yukimiya asked which players, aside from the top 6, would face the sub-20 team. Igo said he was about to announce that information and then revealed the 11 players who would form Blue Lock's match squad. Igo announced that Blue Lock's number 1 would be Uzumaki Naruto and that the team would be formed in an aggressive, offense-oriented manner. He named Naruto as captain, responsible for defeating the sub-20 team, and assigned him the center-forward position. Naruto closed his eyes and affirmed he would accept the role. Igo explained the formation would be a 4-3-3 with Uzumaki as captain. He named Gagamaru as goalkeeper. For defense, Igo selected Iki Niko as left center-back, Aryu Jiubei as right center-back, Chijiri as left fullback, and Bakira as right fullback. In midfield, Igo named Karasu, Otaya, and Iseijai clenched his fist when his selection was announced. Igo then declared the attacking trident, Rin on the left wing, Nagi on the right wing, and Naruto as center forward. The three would form Blue Lock's trident. Naruto responded with a half smile. Igo displayed the lineup on the screen behind him and said this would be the formation Blue Lock would use to defeat Japan's sub-20 team. He noted that Rin would wear number Yukimiya, then asked why Shido had not been mentioned. Igo adjusted his glasses and stated that Shido Ryusei would not play with Blue Lock. The revelation stunned everyone. Iseijai, surprised, asked how that could be. Igo explained that Shido had been chosen by SC Itoshire to play with him on Japan's sub-20 national team, so Shido would not be joining Blue Lock. Igo kept the deeper reason to himself. He knew SC wanted Naruto on the sub-20 squad and had adjusted the selections accordingly. Naruto was Igo's most prized wild card, and he had no intention of letting him go easily. Igo announced that a rigorous training regimen would begin in the remaining days to prepare the team. As he turned to leave, someone called him back. Raichi asked what would happen to the rest of the players. Igo reminded them that there were 35 players in total and that, based on the match results, only 24 would continue. He read names from his tablet and then stated that the players he had just named were eliminated, leaving a stunned silence in the room. Weeks passed, and Igo put the Blue Lock team through a training routine so brutal that it left many players exhausted. Driven by their desire to replace the sub-20 squad, the boys did not give up and pushed themselves to the limit. After 3 long weeks, the day of the match arrived. Japan's sub-20 team versus Blue Lock. If the sub-20 won, the Blue Lock project would be cancelled. If Blue Lock won, its players would take the sub-20 spots. In the Blue Lock locker room, Bakira showed his uniform to Iseijai and asked if it fit well. Iseijai adjusted his shirt and agreed that it suited Bakira, remarking that it was strange to wear the Blue Lock uniform for the first time. Bakira smiled and said it was time. Chijiri tied his left boot and reflected that they had all come a long way. Nagi stretched his arms and said this was not the end. In fact, it was just the beginning. They all turned as Igo entered slightly late. Igo displayed the bench selections on the screen and said he had decided who would be substitutes. He reminded them that a maximum of 3 substitutions would be allowed and told them not to lose focus. The substitutes were announced as Raichi, Mikage, Burr, Tokimitsu, Kurona, Hayari, Nanase, Saira, Ishigaki, Hiragi, Tsurugi, and Igarashi. Igarashi saw his name among the substitutes and quietly celebrated. The world still did not know them. Igo adjusted his glasses with a serious look and informed them that the next 90 minutes would determine their fate. Everyone except Naruto and Rin responded enthusiastically. When the Blue Lock players left the locker room, they found the Japan under-20 team already waiting in the tunnel. Chijiri glanced at the boy standing with his back to them and asked if that was the number 10. Iseijai recognized him as Itoshire of Real Madrid, who stood watching ahead with an air of boredom. Karasu smirked and admitted he was getting excited, smiling beside Otaya. Otaya stretched his arms and agreed that the hype was intense. Bakira told Airyu that it did not feel so bad, and Airyu smiled. Naruto took his place beside Izzy with Rin behind him and the rest of his teammates lining up behind them. Naruto and Essie exchanged analytical glances. Naruto hoped he would give Essie a good match. Essie, with a dry smile, said he expected the same and mentioned that Nachiriza had not stopped talking about Naruto and his talent. Naruto cracked his neck and resolved to show what he could do. A man with mismatched eyes approached Iseijai and informed him that Shido, who had been on their team, would not be playing. Iseijai replied uncertainly. The referee began to walk toward the tunnel exit, followed by both teams. Iseijai thought that if they lost this match it would be the end of his football career and he could not let that happen. He surveyed the packed stands and watched the stadium fill with people cheering loudly for the Japan under-20 team. Thousands of cameras were recording and broadcasting the match across the country. In the commentary booth, Teresa Astuto noted that the stadium was about to explode with excitement and asked her colleague for his take. Natsuki Haruta responded that it was madness, and that the world was watching because Itoshire would be playing. Teresa added that the other team also featured important players, including SAE's younger brother Rin Itoshire and a promising young talent, Naruto Uzumaki, who played for Blue Lock 11. In the VIP box, Elena Uzumaki watched the field in surprise at the sight of her older brother facing the Japan under-20 squad. Beside Elena, Kushina Uzumaki watched her son with a serious expression. To Kushina's left, Mito Uzumaki smiled and remarked that little Naru had grown more than she had expected. Kushina urged Naruto to win and show what he was capable of. On the field, the commentators announced the lineups. Japan under 20 would play a 4-4-2 formation and Blue Lock 11 would play a 4-3. A tactical change was made, swapping Karasu into Iseiji's position and putting Iseiji where Karasu had been. Teresa pointed out that, as expected, prodigy Essa Itoshire would occupy the attacking midfield role, provoking a roar from the crowd. The broadcast came from Blue Lock's main stadium, and the kickoff was imminent. Iseiji reflected on how long his journey had been and how he could never have imagined the spectacle he was witnessing before Blue Lock. He forced himself to focus, repeating mentally that he had to concentrate on the match and on himself. Naruto asked Iseiji why he was so nervous, and Iseiji admitted he was thinking about everything that had led him to this moment. Naruto remained silent, staring at Issei with a challenging look. Naruto checked his footing on the ball and asked Rin if he was ready. Rin answered with a terse affirmation, a faint puff of steam escaping his mouth in the cold and a flicker of irritation that his brother had not even looked his way. The referee signaled the start of play and the match began. Naruto passed the ball to Rin, who immediately faced his older brother Issei before returning the ball to Naruto. Naruto, with a single touch, passed to Nagi and created a perfect triangle. Iseiji watched the trio and thought that those three would lay the foundation for their formation. He ran after the triangle with Karasu and Otaya at his sides and then received a pass from Nagi. Iseiji passed to Bakira, who had pushed forward alongside Chijiri. Bakira was quickly marked by Haru, who watched the young prodigy with a serious expression. Bakira could not help but smile and began to perform a series of rapid stepovers to confuse Haru. Bakira quickly spun past the defender, who watched him go by with a hint of surprise. Bakira thought that it was time to move into the goal area and, noticing that most opponents were marking others while only one remained free, smiled and lofted an aerial pass toward Iseiji, confident that Iseiji knew him well. Iseiji acknowledged that Bakira had executed the move well and that he trusted Bakira's dribbling most of all, but a figure stepped into his path and surprised him. Aika headed the ball clear and out of play, avoiding trouble, then fell to the ground and kept his eyes on Iseiji. Aika said that among all the Blue Lock players there were only two who had been called truly dangerous, Naruto Uzumaki and Itoshire Rin, and as long as they were neutralized the rest would not be a problem. He explained that he liked to think of himself as a kind of police on the pitch. As long as he was there, the thieves would not score. His words left Iseiji frustrated. Iseiji replied that he would show just how dangerous they all could be, insisting that the two mentioned were not the only ones they needed to worry about. The commentator Astuto shouted excitedly that Oliver Aiku's clearance had been surprising, and he asked his colleague Natsuki what he thought. Natsuki answered that Aiku was not called captain for nothing. His strong defense and quick counterattacks sent shivers down his spine as he watched the field. Chijiri quickly moved the ball out from the wing and passed to Naruto, who set it back to Rin. Otoya saw an opening and tried to push forward, but defender Miroku blocked his path. Miroku told Otoya that his movements were too predictable and that he would not escape. Otoya wondered why Miroku had tattoos, speculating about their meaning. Otoya attempted to get past, but Miroku easily positioned himself to stop the advance. Miroku explained that on this pitch there was a front and a back, a yin and yang. The players at the front carry the ball while the shadows at the back work for that single decisive shot. Otoya realized with irritation that Miroku anticipated and moved into every area Otoya tried to reach. Miroku told him to be faster and stealthier. Iseiji observed in surprise that Otoya could not get past Miroku. Rin passed the ball back to Naruto, who looked around and saw that only he and Rin were unmarked. Naruto shouted for Iseiji to move, snapping Iseiji out of his thoughts. Iseiji quickly shifted to receive the pass. He saw Karasu running free and fed the ball to him, and Karasu took it with a smile, thinking that finally his moment had come. A defender moved in front of Karasu. Naru said he wanted to see what Karasu could do and warned that he would not be easy to beat. Karasu thought to show this defender his speed, but Naru matched him and managed to intercept the ball with a precise touch, so the ball was lost. Iseiji called that the ball was loose as it bounced across the field until Nagi collected it. Nagi said he had the ball and looked forward, thinking it would be hard to advance, so he prepared to turn toward the goal. A strong voice behind him declared that they would attack and destroy, and a large figure restrained Nagi from turning. Nayu announced that he would not give Nagi any hint of freedom and told him to call him Doberman. Nagi, confused, asked if Nayu was some kind of guard dog. Nayu answered that it could be said that way and smiled, then announced that his owner was coming as another figure stole the ball from Nagi. Aiku praised Nayu for his effort as he took the ball from Nagi's feet, remarking that this had shown what Nagi was capable of. Aiku passed the ball to C, who controlled it calmly with the outside of his left foot, showing no emotion. The commentator Astuto cried out that the ball was now moving with Itoshir C. Chijiri rushed at C but could not reach him. C advanced and lofted a pass toward his forward Kento, who controlled it with ease. Arya stepped in front of Kento, stating firmly that he was there to stop him. Kento passed the ball to a teammate on the side, and Kitsunezato thanked Cho for the assist as he collected the ball, noticing Karasu approaching. Kitsunezato told Karasu not to waste his time because he could not stop him. Karasu answered that they would see about that, claiming Kitsunezato's movements were nothing he had not anticipated, but then he puzzled at the smile on Kitsunezato's face. Teru grinned and passed the ball to the side, and it rolled to C's feet. Karasu moved to stop C but realized he would not reach him in time and called for Nico to close in, directing him towards C as the nearest defender. Nico thought about positioning himself at about half a post from the goal and remembered that this offensive sequence began and ended with Itoshir C. He promised he would not allow C to shoot and positioned himself in C's shooting lane. At the same time, Chijiri, who stood behind C, made a move to hold him back. Between them, they had apparently managed to hold Issei in check. Sendo judged the other's movements to be boring as he dragged his left foot to lift the ball toward the direction of the U-20 star forward. Sendo then struck toward goal with a powerful right-footed shot. Chijiri wondered how far Issei could see and called out to Gagamaru as the ball flew. Everyone expected Sendo's shot to be a goal, but Gagamaru's agility and quick reaction made the save, sending the ball bouncing off toward the right side of the field. Sendo could hardly believe his strike had not ended in a goal. Chijiri cheered for his teammate Gagamaru, but Gagamaru warned that the ball was still in play before falling to the ground. Karasu suspected that Itoshir Se might have been waiting for that exact moment. Chijiri ran toward E, who already had the ball at his feet. To everyone's surprise, Se did not pass. He positioned himself to shoot. He struck the ball with his left foot so that it rose and curved through the air, catching Gagamaru off guard. Gagamaru leaped to try to block the shot with his right hand, but the ball sailed over him and into the net. The stadium fell silent for a breath and then erupted in astonished cheers. The prodigy Itoshir E had delivered a stunning strike. The scoreboard read U-20 Japan 1, Blue Lock 11. The first half ended. Iseijai watched A's back and thought about the audacity of the shot from that angle. He reflected that the goal had been a perfectly timed play that surprised everyone who had expected a pass to the center. Could this be the prodigy Japan had been waiting for? The crowd chanted Sei's name without stopping. Iseijai realized that the main attraction of the match was Itoshir Se, and he allowed himself the thought that, in the crowd's eyes, Blue Lock had become the villains of the story. Naruto's voice pulled Iseijai back to the present, and Iseijai turned quickly to see Naruto and Rin standing nearby. Naruto's expression was one of amusement, as if he had anticipated and enjoyed how things unfolded. Naruto cautioned Iseijai not to be consumed by such thoughts and urged him to focus on how they would turn the match around. Naruto set the ball at the center of the field, while Rin coldly observed that in a few minutes the crowd's cheers would turn to cries of anguish. The announcer Astuto declared the remarkable fact that the first goal had come from Japan's U-20 side, scored by the prodigy Itoshir Se. Natsuki smiled and praised Sei's world-class strike from that position, and Astuto noted that they were witnessing one of the 12 best youth players in the world. Nero ran over to Se to congratulate him. Teru reached to put a hand on Sei's shoulder, but A brusquely swatted the hand away and spoke in a cold tone. Se complained that he had had 3 chances to score and that he had wasted time by trying to pass to his teammates instead. He insulted the forward who had missed an easier opportunity, calling him useless in a cutting remark. Sendo clenched his teeth at the insult. Aiku reminded everyone that it was not solely Sendo's fault, since the opposing goalkeeper had made a good save. Se returned to his position, dismissing the role of a forward who could not score. Nico reflected that a perfect defense followed by a rapid counterattack featuring Itoshi had made the opponent's strategy noticeably stronger. Isejai agreed with that assessment. Later, Anri asked Ego whether everything would go according to plan, noting that the play Ego had prepared did not seem to be working as intended. Ego replied that practice was only practice and that showing skills in a low-stress environment did not guarantee success in reality. Anri asked what Ego planned to do next, and Ego said he would simply watch to see what happened. The match restarted. Rin passed to Naruto, who controlled the ball with his gaze fixed on the opposing goal. Wakatsuki warned that they would be in trouble if they only passed through the middle of the field, but Naruto responded with a raised eyebrow and moved with surprising speed. Naruto performed a series of skillful flicks that left the defender off balance and then passed the ball back to Rin without hesitation. Rin returned the pass immediately, and their quick exchanges confused the defense. Haru pressured Rin, but Rin passed without looking, sending the ball back to Naruto. Nya muttered about the relentless passing between Naruto and Rin. Rin delivered a pass that Naruto allowed to continue toward a rising Bakira. Wakatsuki sprinted to meet Bakira, while Aiku shifted to cover Isejai. Naru moved to stand beside Rin. Wakatsuki declared he had Bakira in his sights as Bakira shouted that they were ready to go and sent a pass that appeared to head toward Isejai. Someone on the field praised the move as a good one and called Isejai a little thief in a teasing tone. Aiku positioned himself, ready to clear the ball, confident that while the opponent covered his teammate he would not get to it. To his surprise and to the astonishment of many, the ball reached the feet of a figure who had moved with remarkable speed. Naruto controlled the ball with his left foot under the gaze of everyone who had not seen him move. Anri on the bench reacted in surprise as she realized the ball had gone through. Ego watched Naruto intently and noted that Uzumaki Naruto's awakening could pave the path to victory. With the ball at his feet, Naruto was immediately marked by Aiku, who left Isejai unguarded. Naruto took advantage of the opening and slipped a pass to Isejai. Isejai, surprised to receive the ball, did not hesitate and unleashed a shot that the goalkeeper saved comfortably. Nagi collected the rebound and sent another attempt aimed for the right corner, only for Aiku to block it by moving toward the goal. The ball rose in the box and dropped slowly in front of Otoya, who charged and followed closely by Miroku. Miroku could not stop the swift attacker from shooting toward goal. Before Otoya could react, Nayu put himself in front and prevented the equalizer by making a block. Nayu urged Miroku to take the rebound and clear it, and Miroku sprinted to retrieve the ball. Unluckily for the sub-20 side, Naruto seized the ball and faced the rival goal. Haru and Wakatsuki rushed toward Naruto in an attempt to stop him. Under everyone's eyes, Naruto used the tip of his foot to lift the ball, causing it to spin past a surprised Wakatsuki and Haru. Now free of marking and with the ball at his feet, Naruto struck it with such force that instead of lifting it into the air, the shot skimmed the ground, racing straight toward the goal. The goalkeeper could not react as the ball buried itself in the back of the net. Naruto had scored. The stadium fell briefly into stunned silence. The shot was not as theatrically surprising as Sei's earlier strike, but its power and precision were extraordinary. Seeing two sub-20 defenders bypassed so easily by the blue lock player, followed by a thunderous, ground-hugging strike, left everyone breathless. Sei, watching, noted that he had never seen a forward fire a shot so tightly along the ground before, and Uzumaki Naruto had caught his interest. The scoreboard read sub-20 Japan 1-1 blue lock 11. Aiku observed Naruto raise an arm with a smile, and then the stadium erupted as fans reacted to Blue Lock's response to Itoshi Sei's earlier goal. Commentators and spectators called out their astonishment as Natsuki expressed excitement at witnessing such a match. One announcer pointed out that Uzumaki Naruto, a young promising talent, had equalized for his team just minutes after Sei's goal, and that with both teams level, it was impossible to declare the protagonists of the game yet. In the VIP box, Elena watched the shot with stars in her eyes and admired her brother's striking display. Mito, not much into football, nonetheless acknowledged that few players could make the ball keep to the ground like that. Kushina beamed with pride, seeing her son execute such a remarkable strike. In a private box, Buretsuda clenched his fists in anger and could not understand how the sub-20 side, expected to lead Japan to its first cup, could be put in such a position. On the bench, Bakira reached out toward Naruto with an enthusiastic shout that prompted a low, annoyed growl from the red-haired player. Karasu congratulated Naruto with a firm handshake and praise for the extraordinary strike. Naruto shrugged it off as no big deal, but Isegai walked over to tell him that the shot had been both powerful and precise, something almost impossible to perform. Naruto turned and responded with his usual confident air, while Se fixed his gaze forward with a small smile that only Naruto noticed. Anri told Ego that Blue Lock had managed to tie the match. Ego remained calm and warned her not to be carried away by one goal. The match could change in a single instant, and this was only the beginning of what the teams would prove. The game resumed with the score level at 1-1 as the crowd roared for more. Se controlled the ball in midfield but was quickly challenged by his younger brother Idosher Rin. Rin confronted Se, accusing him of not even greeting him after so long and declaring that this match was his chance to surpass his older brother. Se did not respond with words. He performed several stepovers to confuse Rin. Rin advanced, aiming to strike the ball, but Se slipped his right leg behind his left and delivered a quick, clean touch that lofted the ball over Rin's head. The stadium roared as the prodigy left his brother behind with effortless skill. But Rin would not be pushed aside so easily, charging and colliding shoulder to shoulder with Se as both fought for control of the ball. Isegai shouted that he was there, distracting Rin just long enough for Se to try to send a pass to Kitsunezato. Rin reacted and blocked the pass, and Se lowered his center of gravity to resist the contact. Isegai observed in surprise that Idosher Se had executed an incredible shoulder block and maintained his balance against Rin. Se moved the ball with his right foot while pivoting over Rin, but Rin met him again, shoulder to shoulder. He braked suddenly, separated, and fixed Rin with a cold stare. Se declared that as long as Rin clung to being his brother, he would never surpass him, then used a Rabona to send the ball cleanly through Rin's legs. The commentator called out in astonishment that Idosher had slipped past his brother's marking with a Rabona. Natsuki cheered that the first duel between the brothers had gone to the elder. Karasu muttered in annoyance as he watched to see. Aryu noted that the three main forwards of the sub-20 were connecting well and ordered Nico to watch the defensive line. Nico acknowledged and recalled Ego's advice that, despite being average in height and speed, Nico's greatest strength was his vision, making him perfect for center-back. That vision allowed Nico to read the field. He took in all of Se's passing options and reacted the moment he struck the ball. Sendo moved to receive Se's pass, ready to finish for sub-20, stretched his right leg forward and took the bounce only to find a figure blocking his path. Nico completed a perfect interception, driving the ball away from Blue Lock's penalty area with force. Isegai shouted praise for Nico as the ball left sub-20 possession. Karasu seized the ball and, voice tight with determination, prepared the counterattack. Haru intercepted Karasu's run, taking the ball and facing him down. Karasu mentally noted how, as soon as they lost the ball, the four sub-20 defenders retreated into their designated positions, forming what looked like an impenetrable wall. Haru told Karasu that the way was blocked. Karasu replied that he was not alone, and signaled Otoya. Otoya controlled the ball with the outside of his foot and saw Miroku closing in. Miroku taunted that he could anticipate Otoya's steps from a distance and positioned himself to block. Otoya revealed that he had no intention of acting alone, turned his back to Miroku, and slipped the ball to Karasu before pivoting past him. Karasu urged Otoya to accelerate and return the pass, and Miroku conceded that the two formed an effective duo as he tried to reach the ball. Karasu realized their planned move was unfolding and noticed a runner approaching Otoya. Aiku, smiling, sprinted in to close the angle. He warned Otoya that the pass would be difficult, but before he could reach the ball, Chijiri Blue Lock's fastest legs blazed past him with superior speed. The commentator shouted that Chijiri had cut in from the right to open an entry, and now Blue Lock's 11 were all pressing in the goal area. Chijiri wondered whether to push further into the box, saw an open teammate and chose instead to pass. Nayu scrambled toward Chijiri to prevent a central shot, but Chijiri spun and fed Karasu, who was the only one free. Karasu reminded everyone that he was also a forward and not just someone who defended the ball. He ran up toward goal. Chidori complimented Karasu's position as the ball rolled to his feet. Just as Karasu prepared to shoot, Issei arrived at full speed and stretched a leg to block the attempt, sending the ball bouncing toward Naruto. Naruto controlled the ball, saw a chance, and instead sent a powerful feed toward Haru. The ball slipped through Haru's legs and continued to Rin. Naruto urged Rin to show what he was made of. Rin took the ball confidently and readied himself to shoot, but Aiku appeared to block his strong foot. Aiku challenged Rin to try to shoot and then admitted, quietly, that he had underestimated Blue Lock. He had assumed a team made up entirely of forwards would be easy to handle, mere high school players following their coach's orders. He realized now that every Blue Lock player aimed to change their own fate and that each one was hungry to win. Aiku had not noticed Iseijai coming up behind him. Iseijai called out that he was free and asked Rin to pass. Aiku accepted that they would attempt the pass with a 2-on-1. Aiku watched Rin's movements and thought that he could not shoot from there. Rin shifted the ball slightly to the right, giving the impression he would pass, but what he did left everyone surprised. Rin dragged the ball to the opposite side with his right foot, using Iseijai as a decoy. Aiku anticipated that if Rin's dominant leg was blocked he would be unable to score, and he moved to cover that idea. But Rin ignored the possible block on his favored foot and struck the ball powerfully with his left, sending it above the heads of the defenders. The ball flew through the air and, despite the U-20 goalkeeper's dive, everyone only saw the sphere cross the line. Japan U-21-2 Blue Lock 11. Aiku thought that it seemed Japanese football now had new genes mixed in as he watched the beautiful goal Rin had scored. Astuto noted with the crowd falling silent that with 40 minutes gone in the first half, Rin Itoshire had scored the second goal for Blue Lock. Natsuki, surprised, shouted that Blue Lock had taken the lead 2-1 and wondered who could have predicted it. Iseijai leaped forward to embrace Rin, but Rin moved aside and Iseijai fell to the ground. Naruto walked over to Rin and clasped his hand, congratulating him, then told the group that it was time to move to Plan B. Bakira, standing beside Iseijai, answered affirmatively. Chidori helped Iseijai to his feet and praised Iseijai for being a good decoy. Iseijai shrugged off the dirt from his uniform and said not to worry because the next chance would be his. Miroku watched the Blue Lock players celebrating. Nayu reacted angrily. Aiku walked toward his teammates and apologized for letting Rin take the shot. Nayu replied that they could not complain, even Aiku had failed to stop it. Aiku smiled and said that Rin had proven why he was the brother of a prodigy, closing his eyes for a moment. Issei berated Sendo coldly, blaming him for losing the pass and calling him a worthless forward, then turned away. Sendo shot back angrily that it was not entirely his fault. SAE responded with indifference that when someone creates an opportunity, the least they can do is score, and reminded them that if they lost they would lose their places on the U-20 team, though she made it clear she did not care. Kento said seriously that they would not let the match end like this, and the rest of the U-20 team agreed. Haru asked if he should move forward. Wakatsuki wiped sweat from his brow and said they had to catch up before the first half ended. SE coldly remarked that finally they were feeling the precision of their opponents. Aiku urged the team to focus on the remaining minutes as their only chance, smiling while the others looked determined. With just 3 minutes left in the first half, the U-20 team that had seemed to have the match in hand now found themselves trailing. Astuto observed the players taking their positions and wondered whether the U-20 could equalize before halftime and whether Blue Lock could hold off the offensive. The referee blew the whistle to restart play. Sendo passed to I while Kitsunezato and Kento pushed quickly forward. Rin marked Issei, but Rin Itoshire calmly passed to Sendo, who returned it quickly so that Issei, with a strong pass, sent the ball to Kitsunezato. Iseijai noticed they were shifting to the flank as Kitsunezato controlled the ball with his chest. Bakira advanced toward Kitsunezato and taunted him with a fox-faced insult. Kitsunezato feigned sadness and then received a pass from Kento. Kento, seeing the goal, took the ball and readied to shoot. Nico rushed in to block with his left foot, but Kento was faster and struck the ball toward the goal, only for Gagamaru to leap and block it for Blue Lock's relief. The linesman signaled that only 1 minute remained in the first half. Karasu urged everyone to hold on. Essie took the ball and, marked by Isejai and Bakura, used her speed to get past both and sent a direct pass to Sendo. Sendo did not hesitate and shot, but the ball was deflected by Rin, who had positioned himself behind Sendo. Se struck the rebound that fell in front of him, but Naruto stepped in, blocking the shot with his right leg and preventing SAE's second goal. The referee blew the whistle to end the half. Japan U, 21-2 Blue Lock 11. Natsuki looked at the scoreboard and commented on the scoreline. Astuto, hand on his head, could hardly believe that Blue Lock had finished the first half leading 2. Both announcers were stunned by the team of purely forwards having reversed the score in their favor and by how they had shown themselves as strong players. On the field, players from both teams headed to the locker rooms. Blue Lock's players were excited and talking among themselves, while the 20 players moved in silence, surrounded by cold auras. In the stands, Yasamori became nervous and asked the president of the Japan Football Association, Buratsuda, what was happening. Buratsuda grabbed Yasamori by the collar of his uniform and angrily demanded why the coach had not ensured a win at all costs, reminding him that he had instructed him to secure victory. Yasamori replied that he understood, addressing Buratsuda respectfully. Yasamori spoke nervously that Blue Lock had turned out to be a more complicated team than they had expected. Buratsuda released Yasamori's collar and stated that he did not care and ordered him to destroy Blue Lock before walking away. Sub-20 Locker Room. The atmosphere in the locker room was tense. The players kept their heads down, staring at the floor and replaying the first half in their minds. Nara muttered that this was bad and paced back and forth. Haru admitted that he had never imagined they would be trailing at halftime. Naya looked to his captain and asked how they were going to respond in the second half. Sendo placed his hands on his head and lamented that if only he had scored. Before anyone could speak further, he emerged from the showers and walked calmly to his bag. Naya tried to get his attention and said they were discussing what to do in the second half, but Essie did not reply. Kitsunezato suggested they continue their offensive, noting that their attack had been solid at the end of the first half, and asked whether they should let the coach change the formation. Essie surprised everyone by saying he did not care. Naya reacted angrily to Essie's attitude and demanded what he meant, but Sae simply announced that he was quitting. The room fell into stunned silence. Haru asked how they could do anything without him, but Issei said he did not care and that everything he had done was for a bet their captain had made. S indicated Aiku, who had his head bowed. Haru and Sendo addressed Aiku, and Aiku stood and explained that he had only agreed to participate because he was interested in Blue Lock. He admitted that, while many players on the extremes were difficult to face, one person had caught his interest. Se confirmed that he meant Uzumaki, praising Uzumaki's vision and play as perfect for receiving his passes, and prepared to leave. Aiku then apologized for making such a selfish bet. He said he had wanted to test their current strength and to find out where he stood. He confessed that he now understood how much it hurt to realize they were weak, and warned that at their current pace they would lose to Blue Lock and lose their spot. Essie declared he was leaving, saying they had no chance. Aiku refused to accept that and pointed toward a figure sitting with his back to them, saying they still had their demon. Shidu then appeared, finishing tying his cleats, and challenged Issei, saying he would prove himself worthy of receiving passes. Se released his bag with a hint of a smile and told Shidu to be free, declaring that he and Shidu would be the starters for the match. Blue Lock 11 Locker Room. The Blue Lock players were in high spirits after leading at halftime. Igo's voice cut through the celebration as he reminded them they had not achieved anything yet. Isejai pointed out that they were winning, but Igo argued that the result was not solely due to the whole team. He credited Uzumaki Naruto and Itosha Rin for making the team function and said he wanted them to obliterate the opposing team, insisting there was no need for everyone to be the protagonist. Igo's harsh but honest words dampened the mood. He reiterated that Naruto and Rin had been the ones to carry the team and instructed the players to focus on destroying the opponent. Naruto, addressing the team, stated that he would ensure they crushed Sub-20 in the second half. Igo announced that there would be no immediate changes but warned they should prepare for Sub-20 to use Shidu. Chijiri complained about Shidu playing, and Naruto coldly volunteered to face the demon himself, saying he would show the difference between them. The room fell silent as time passed. Naruto watched Rin, who sat apart with his head against the wall. Naruto asked about the situation between Rin and his brother, but Rin dismissed it as none of his concern. Naruto bluntly told Rin that if his goal was to surpass his brother, he would not be able to do so at his current level. Rin remained silent. End of chapter. The commentators announced they were back for the exciting second half. Astuto noted that the first half had ended unfavorably for sub-20 and expressed hope that they could mount a comeback. Natsuki added that the second half promised drama and excitement. The commentators observed the players coming back onto the field and noticed a substitution for sub-20. Wakatsuki had been taken out and Shido was entering with number. Rin acknowledged Shido's entry with a terse remark and accepted it as no big deal. Naruto stretched his arms and told them to leave it to him. Shido saw the two of them and smiled before walking toward them with an arrogant, fierce look. Shido told Naruto that today he would prove he was better, and when Naruto ignored him it only made Shido angrier. Shido declared that from now on the field would be his playground and the others his toys. Rin told Shido to get lost, and Shido's smile widened as he taunted Rin about being upset that his brother had chosen someone else. Rin answered coldly that he had been looking to liven up his play and knew just how to do it. He intended to crush the blonde pest. Shido replied that remained to be seen as he walked back to his position on the field. The under-20 team made a change to their lineup. Anri reported from his tablet that Sendo had dropped back, leaving Shido alone as the central forward. Ego, asked how he would respond, said he would not change the formation. The under-20 players had practiced and knew how to play against Shido Ryusei. Ego noted that only one player in all of Blue Lock had ever been able to stop Shido. Now they would see that player again and test whether the pairing of Issei Itosher and Ryusei Shido could stand against the combination of Uzumaki Naruto and Itosher Rin. With Shido on the field the atmosphere felt different, Iseijai observed, watching Shido stand beside Issei. Iseijai thought that whoever adapted first would be the hero of the match, and he resolved not to let it end that way. He declared to himself that this game would be his. Second half. Issei, without looking, passed to Shido, who took a few steps forward and returned the ball to Issei. Nico thought that Shido's weapon was his incredible ability in the scoring zone and planned to hunt him down in the last defensive line. Shido, thinking in rapid bursts, darted past players from both Blue Lock and the under-20 team in a zigzag. Nico wondered why Shido moved so unpredictably, ignoring formations from both teams and making him unreadable. Without anyone reacting, Issei slipped a pass through the space between Blue Lock and under-20 players to Shido. Chijiri ran to stop Shido, but with a heel flick Shido passed the ball to Sendo, who had sprinted behind him. Shido taunted that being fast must be great, and told Sendo to wall. Sendo, annoyed, said he was only following Itosher Sei's instructions and returned the ball to Shido, who had bypassed a surprised Chijiri. Sendo and Shido exchanged quick passes and neared the penalty area, where Nico and Aryu waited. In the final pass, however, the ball did not go to Shido but to someone else. Iseijai wondered who had been targeted, then saw Sei receive the ball inside the penalty area. Sei lifted his head and saw Shido sprinting toward the goal with a wild grin. Sei struck the ball with his left foot and curled it toward Shido. Shido jumped to volley the ball, but before his foot could meet it another player, much faster, intercepted. Shido looked down at his foot hitting empty air and realized someone had beaten him to it. Naruto's mocking voice came from behind, calling Shido slow, and Naruto seized the ball. Naruto then initiated the counterattack by driving the ball forward and sending it to Rin, who controlled it immediately. Rin turned toward the goal and began to run, trailed by Nagi and Bakira. Haru closed in to mark Rin and attempted a slide tackle. Rin, reacting quickly, lofted the ball and passed to Bakira, who was tightly marked by Miroku. Bakira smiled and danced with the ball at his feet. When Miroku left a gap, Bakira struck hard. Bakira then passed to Karasu, who saw Aiku approaching and built a quick wall with Otoya. Having reclaimed the ball, Karasu sent a powerful shot to Rin, who was being heavily marked by Nyan and Naru. Rin managed to head the ball in midair and direct it to Nagi, who was positioned in front of the goal. Aiku shouted and launched himself toward Nagi with a sliding challenge, and on the other side Miroku mirrored the same effort. To everyone's surprise, Nagi did not attempt a shot on goal. With the tip of his foot, Nagi tapped the ball off the ground and sent it over Aiku and Miroku. The two Japan U20 players could only watch in surprise as the white-haired forward twisted in the air and prepared his strike. Nagi introduced himself as Saishiro Nagi from Japan and then struck the ball toward the goal, leaving everyone astonished. Japan U21-3 Blue Lock once. The stadium fell silent, every eye was on Nagi. After scoring the stunning goal, he threw himself to the ground and raised his right arm. Astuto expressed disbelief at Blue Lock once suddenly having a 2-goal lead over the U20 team. Natsuki wondered aloud whether Blue Lock had already sealed the match, staring at the scoreboard in disbelief. Blue Lock players were the first to break the silence, rushing toward Nagi and leaping on him in celebration. Karasu praised Nagi's strike, and Nagi nodded as he rose to his feet. Isagai thanked Nagi for the advantage, but inwardly he felt unsettled because he still had not scored. Rin reminded everyone that the match was far from over and warned that they could still be caught. Naruto calmly agreed, watching Nagi, who acknowledged him. SE watched Naruto intently, a gleam in his eyes. He silently told Shido that everything had been planned to perfection, from intercepting the pass to setting up his team's counterattack. Shido, annoyed, insisted they only needed 2 goals and that they could not be easily defeated. SE turned and headed for the center of the field. He knew the match was not over and that a comeback was possible. The referee signaled the restart. Instead of passing, SE accelerated forward, dribbled past Isagai with a quick feint, and faked out his brother. Free, he slid the ball to Shido, who lofted it lightly over Karasu. Shido regained control and returned the ball to SE, who accelerated and pushed past Otoya, who attempted to stop him. SE then performed a series of rapid stepovers and elastic moves that left the Blue Lock defense confused. Isagai ran toward SE to prevent a cross, but SE's left foot struck the ball and sent it beyond the penalty area, where Shido was waiting. Shido did not wait for the ball to hit the ground and prepared a volley. He took a shot while facing away from goal, and an opposing player tried to dispossess him. The defender stumbled backward after the contact and went down. Isagai ran to check on the fallen player. Shido took advantage of the collision to also fall and hold his leg, selling the contact. The referee awarded a free kick to the U20 side. Shido announced that he would take the kick, teasing that SAE's intended play would likely be intercepted by his younger brother. SE calmly noted the number of defenders and warned that it would be difficult to score, but Shido insisted he would take the shot. SE leaned in and whispered instructions to Shido, and the scowl on Shido's face shifted into a fierce, determined expression. Shido feigned to the left at the whistle, drawing defenders' attention, then shifted his run to the right at the last moment. Observers wondered if it was just a fake, but SE struck the ball with his left foot and sent it toward Shido, who had space to shoot. Chijiri sprinted at full speed toward Shido, shouting in disbelief that Shido was facing away from the ball, but Shido felt a surge of energy. He launched himself into the air and met the ball with his right foot, sending it flying toward the goal at incredible speed. Japan U22-3 Blue Lock once. Astuto shouted that number 13 of the U20 team had scored a spectacular goal. Natsuki celebrated the incredible strike by the newcomer Ryusei Shido and credited the prodigious assist from Itoshire SE. Astuto noted that the U20 team was now only 1 goal away from equalizing. Aiku commented that SE and Shido looked like they were made to play together. Shido smiled up at the sky, feeling the rush of the moment, and he warned him not to get carried away. The match was not over. While the U20 side celebrated, 2 Blue Lock players went down, clutching their legs from cramps and exhaustion. From the bench, Ego announced changes. He called for substitutions, and all eyes turned to the 3 players preparing to come on. Astuto and Natsuki observed that the Blue Lock once coach was making tactical adjustments. Ego sent on Hayari for Chijiri, Ryo for Nico, and Yukimiya for Otoya. Otoya strolled off the field, exchanging high-fives with Karasu, and Chijiri muttered that he would have preferred to keep playing as he left the pitch. This was the new formation for Blue Lock once. Natsuki observed that the formation Ego planned to use in the second half was a 4-5-1, leaving Naruto alone up front. Astuto hoped this would not change things too much for the 20 as he watched the players take their positions. At the sound of the whistle, Naruto passed to Iseijai, who sprinted forward with Rin and Nagi. Iseijai noted that with Hiyori's entry they had switched tactics to one they had already practiced. Igo had trusted Hiyori's vision and ball control to open scoring opportunities for the others. Iseijai quickly fed the ball to Hiyori, who controlled it and looked up to see Miroku running toward him. Miroku positioned himself in front of Hiyori and warned that he would not let Hiyori get away from his side. Hiyori smiled and reminded him that she was neither a ninja nor a sprinter, and then passed the ball to the flank. Karasu appeared there with a grin, collected the ball, spun to avoid Sendo and Haru, and returned it to Hiyori. Hiyori advanced a little as Sendo lunged to steal the ball. With a swift touch, Hiyori sent the ball into the box, surprising Sendo, who only saw it fly past him. The ball arced through the air toward Naruto. Was quickly marked by Nayu, but instead of reaching Naruto it landed at the feet of the white-haired Nagi, who allowed himself a brief smile at the pass. Before Nagi could strike, Naru stepped in front to block the shot. Forced to improvise, Nagi flicked the ball with his heel toward Iseijai, who was charging in at full speed. Iseijai had been waiting for this moment and pulled his left leg back, determined that this would be his goal. Aiku intercepted the ball that had come into Iseijai's path and smiled, announcing that his presence would keep everyone in check. Haru quickly reclaimed the ball and sent it to Issei in midfield. Iseijai warned the defense to watch the passes to Shido. Arya declared that they had to stop him there, and Ryo agreed, recalling Igo's instructions to stop Shido. Ryo remembered Igo telling him that his reason for entering the match was to stop Itoshire Se and Ryusei Shido and that he would not let them pass. Se played to a smiling Shido, who prepared to receive, but a figure leaped over him and headed the ball away. Ryo registered the move and thought the defender was chameleon-like as the ball fell out of play. Shido remarked to Se that it felt like the first time he had been understood by someone else and that a powerful surge was approaching. Se responded that, regardless, Shido still needed to score. From the throw-in, Sendo passed to Kitsune, who turned past Bakira and set the ball back to Se. Using his great vision of the game, Se threaded a pass to Shido through the blue lock defenders. With the ball at his feet, Shido tried to turn but felt Ryo blocking his movement and firmly told him he would not be allowed to shoot. Frustrated, Shido struck the ball, Ryo's foot grazed it, and it landed harmlessly in Gagamaru's hands. Gagamaru praised Ryo's block and then volleyed the ball back toward midfield, where Hiyori awaited, marked by Sendo. Before either could touch it, he jumped and chest-trapped the ball, bringing it down under control. Shido sprinted again toward the goal. Se struck the ball with force, sending it at Shido, who watched it bounce in front of him. Seeing that no one could stop Shido in time, Gagamaru headed the ball high to clear the danger. Iseijai noted that Gagamaru's quick decision had allowed the defense to get out of the penalty area and prevent Shido from reaching the ball. At that moment, Shido's perception narrowed. Everything around him faded to shades of black and white, leaving only himself and the ball in focus. He felt a surge through every fiber of his being urging him to act. The crowd, commentators, bench players, and opponents all held their breath because none of them expected what Shido was about to attempt. Karasu wondered aloud if he really intended to do it, and Iseijai thought a bicycle kick from that distance seemed impossible. Shido launched himself backward toward the goal with a wild, triumphant smile and struck the ball with a perfectly timed bicycle kick. Shido intended the strike as a message to those who still did not know him. He announced that he was Ryusei Shido. The ball flew into the net and the stadium erupted. The Japan U20 team had equalized, bringing the score to Japan U23 to 3 Blue Lock 11. The roar of relief and joy from the crowd was immediate and powerful. Astuto could only stand in stunned admiration at what the young player had just done, and Natsuki declared that the goal would be remembered across Japan as one of the most incredible in history. Astuto added that Shido's 2 goals so far were among the best he had ever seen. Naruto watched the play with irritation as he considered Issei and reflected on what ego had meant by the flow of a player. The flow, also known as the player's peak state, represented the ultimate expression of footballing ego. In that condition, a player perceived the field, opponents, and ball with extraordinary clarity. Their movements and decisions came naturally, without the need to overthink. They could push their abilities to the limit while reacting quickly and intuitively. They felt as if time had slowed and they flowed with the game. Naruto cracked his neck, his golden eyes flashing dangerously as he decided to get serious to finish this. The players on the field all sensed the atmosphere shift dramatically. SEE and Shido, together with Rin and Isegai, watched Naruto take on a cold expression and glowing eyes that unsettled anyone who saw him. The four saw an aura form around the redhead, ruffling his hair. Isegai noticed the change in pressure and wondered if Naruto was finally going to play seriously. Ego, from the bench, observed that Naruto seemed ready to step up. Anri asked Ego what he meant, and Ego replied that, up to that point, only two players had not used their full capacity in the match, Itoshire SE and Uzumaki Naruto. Ego added that they were about to witness a duel between two prodigies. The referee restarted the game. Astuto announced that there were only 10 minutes left in the first half and reminded everyone that if the U-20 and Blue Lock ended in a draw, the U-20 players would keep their positions and the Blue Lock project would be closed. Natsuki felt a pang of regret for the Blue Lock players, recognizing their potential. With the ball at the center and the referee's whistle, Naruto moved forward but did not pass, leaving everyone confused. Rio watched Naruto's back and wondered why the pass did not come. Naruto called Rin over and told her he intended to beat her brother, his golden eyes fixed on Issei, and Issei accepted the challenge. Issei approached calmly and Naruto waited with a cold look. The atmosphere became heavy again as all the players sensed the start of a clash between two powerhouses. When Issei closed to within a few meters, he accelerated to try to take the ball with a quick touch, but Naruto anticipated the move and shifted the ball aside, letting Issei's foot miss. Issei adjusted to stop the ball, and Naruto tried to send it to one side. Naruto began moving the ball from side to side, and Issei kept his eyes locked on it. Everyone watched in silence as the two best players from each team contested possession. The winner would be hailed as the best in all of Japan. He resolved to get serious as well. An aura filled with numbers formed around him and his eyes shone. The contest for the ball intensified. In a brief lapse of balance, Naruto momentarily faltered and Issei grazed the ball, separating it from Naruto. What Issei had not expected was Naruto's rapid recovery. Naruto snapped the ball back under control. He lunged again, and Naruto slipped the ball between Issei's legs. Many players reacted with wide eyes as Naruto reclaimed possession and left a stunned Issei behind. Rin wondered if Issei had been bested, watching her older brother stand frozen. Haru called for someone to stop Naruto and rushed with Shido toward him. Naruto exhaled and moved left, causing Haru to try to block, but Naruto passed him with an elegant turn. Shido then charged forward with fierce determination, ready to stop the advance. Naruto lofted the ball over Shido's head with a touch. Shido spun and pursued, but Naruto quickly slipped the ball through his legs, leaving Shido on the ground as Naruto sprinted away. Miroku attempted a sliding tackle, which Naruto narrowly evaded by stopping abruptly and then leaping over the surprised defender. Aiku and Nyan hurried to close in. Nayu approached first, trying to use his greater size, but Naruto chipped the ball lightly over Nayu's head, leaving him momentarily frozen watching the ball pass. Controlling the ball with his foot, Naruto found Aiku blocking his path. Naruto cut left and accelerated past Aiku in a burst. Naruto then struck the ball with his right foot, sending a powerful shot that seemed to bend with the force and rocketed toward the goal. Japan U-23-4 Blue Lock 11. As the ball hit the net, the referee's whistle sounded to signal the end of the match. The stadium fell into stunned silence before erupting. The Blue Lock 11 players were the first to recover, shouting and running toward Naruto, who remained where he stood. Anri leapt with joy, arms raised. Ego, watching Naruto surrounded by his teammates, noted that Uzumaki Naruto was undeniably a powerful weapon and an incomparable egoist. Gradually, the crowd emerged from their shock and began applauding the spectacular play that had ended with an impressive goal. In the VIP box, Elena excitedly pointed out to her mother and grandmother how incredible her older brother had been. Mito applauded as well, calling the play spectacular and worthy of an Uzumaki. Their mother told him he had done well. Kushina smiled as she watched an image of her son, thinking he was one step closer to becoming the kind of player his father would have wanted. In VIP Box 2, the president of the Football Association was furious. Buratsuda cursed Blue Lock, cursed Ego, and cursed the players, then threw a bottle against a wall and wrecked the furnishings in a rage. Issei Itoshi's mind was in turmoil, replaying over and over the move Naruto had used to get past him. Ei's thoughts ran through Nachiriza and the three who had tested him, then Bunny, and now this new opponent. He clenched his fist, remembering the day he arrived in Spain and faced Nachiriza one-on-one. The result had been a complete defeat at the hands of the Brazilian in his first match between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. The Barcelona star Bunny Iglesias had shown him a harsh lesson and left Issei with a more realistic view of football. Iku's voice snapped Issei out of his reverie as he asked whether he was all right. Issei replied curtly that he was fine and walked slowly toward the locker rooms. The commentators erupted as Naruto Uzumaki's powerful shot struck the U20 goal. Natsuki rose to her feet, marveling at the strike, while Astuto exclaimed that with the score at 3-4, Blue Lock had secured an exciting victory. The Blue Lock players celebrated with Naruto, who smiled toward the stands where his younger sister, his grandmother, and his mother were waving. Iku approached Naruto and complimented the goal, admitting surprise that Naruto had managed to get past the prodigy. Naruto responded with a sideways smile and a quiet claim that he was good, but he was better. Iku returned the compliment calmly and said it had been a pleasure to play against him. The two shook hands and went their separate ways. Naruto was heading to the locker rooms when Igarashi drew him toward a group of reporters. A reporter announced Naruto's presence and noted that he had scored both the first and final goals of the game, asking how he felt about the victory and what the Blue Lock project was about. Naruto answered with a neutral expression, telling the reporters that Blue Lock left no room for compassion. He explained that effort and dreams alone were not enough. What mattered was proving who deserved to be at the top. Only those willing to overpower their rivals could survive on that field. If someone lowered their guard for a moment, they would be finished. In Naruto's view, the competition reduced everyone to either prey or predator, and victory had to be seized by one's own hands. When a reporter asked about his mixed Japanese and German heritage and whether he would join Japan's U20 or Germany's U20 for the upcoming tournament, Naruto stated that he did not play for a flag and cared only to prove he was the best striker in the world. He said he would play for Japan, but clarified that representing Japan would not mean he would play like them. He was there to defeat rivals, and anyone not prepared for that should step aside. With that, he turned and walked toward the locker rooms. After the win over the U20 selection, Ego granted the Blue Lock players a few days off to rest and recharge for the next stage. Each player used the break differently. Some continued training, others relaxed completely, and there were days when everyone gathered to talk and spend time together. A week passed until Sunday, when every Blue Lock player received a message instructing them to report to the facility the next day. Bakira called out to Iseijai as he arrived, and Iseijai greeted him. Chidori's voice sounded behind them, and the two friends turned to welcome him. One by one the Blue Lock players arrived, and the former U20 players showed up as well. Bakira noted their presence, and Nara corrected him by saying they were ex-U20 players. Iseijai asked how they were here, and Iku explained that Ego had summoned them and wanted them to join his project. Iseijai noticed Rin leaning against a wall and walked over to ask how he was doing. Rin asked what he wanted, and Iseijai said he was only checking in and then asked if anyone had seen Naruto. Rin told Iseijai that Naruto was right behind him. Iseijai turned and found Naruto smiling there. Naruto asked if Iseijai had been looking for him. Iseijai mentioned how the media were calling Naruto by a new nickname and said that he intended to surpass him to become the best in the world. Naruto returned the statement with a strained smile and said he would be waiting. Ego welcomed them all, referring to the recruits as raw diamonds. Ego's voice came through a screen that lit up. He smiled as he announced that he now had the authority to decide the fate of each member of Japan's U20 squad and explained that, since even the so-called losers had their uses, he would form the new U20 team from the players assembled here. Sendo muttered under his breath that they were the losers. Iku responded with a smile. Ego reminded everyone that there were only 100 days left before the U20 World Cup and said he would be honest. If they went to the tournament with their current level, victory would be impossible. He explained that the next stage would allow them to evolve rapidly. Before continuing, he asked what had caused each of them to grow stronger. He answered his own question. The trigger had been awakening their egos and becoming aware of their innate weapons. The reason that had happened to each of them without doubt had been the environment. This special, closed space was called Blue Lock. To reach greater heights, a new environment was necessary, he said, and he had decided to throw them into the harshest crucible he could imagine, the pinnacle of world football, the 5 major European leagues. Everyone widened their eyes. Were they really going to play in Europe? Ego described what each of the 5 leagues represented. England for speed and physical battles, where goals often came from raw athletic prowess. Spain for technique and creativity, where fans prized expressive football. Italy for craft and tactical defense, where winning by a narrow margin through organization was celebrated. France as a gateway to success for newcomers and young talents thanks to heavy investment and steady financial flow. And Germany as a league that fundamentally understood that football is won by scoring goals, preferring logical and rational approaches to victory. He added, as a bonus, that the current world's top striker, Noel Noah, played there, and a photo of him appeared on the screen. Ego revealed 5 clubs representing those leagues: Manchester City for England, FC Barcelona for Spain, Juventus for Italy, PSG for France, and Bayern München for Germany. He gave them 90 minutes to choose which country they wanted to go to, then the screen went dark. The players' phones displayed the options and the time limit. Igarashi asked which team everyone would choose, watching his teammates think. He said he would go to Germany because he felt Japanese players were suited to that league. Chijiri approved and said he would pick England. Otoya said he would choose Spain, feeling that his style would fit there. Ariu tossed his hair back and declared he would go to Italy. The country called to him. Zantetsu adjusted his glasses and decided France sounded like the best option. Karasu told them that choosing based on stereotypes was silly and that they needed to pick what truly resonated with them. Chijiri then asked Iseijai what he would choose. Iseijai admitted that he still had no idea and nervously rubbed the back of his neck. Bakira urged him to decide quickly because time was running out and put an arm over Iseijai's shoulders. Iseijai asked Bakira which country he had chosen. Bakira answered that he would go to the country of dribbling and technique, Spain, smiling. Iseijai told him that was a fine choice and wished him well. Naruto noticed Rin staying silent and asked if Rin was going to France. Naruto said he hoped Rin would give him a real challenge when they faced each other. Rin turned his head and told Naruto that when they met again he would completely destroy him. Naruto couldn't help but smile as he watched Rin's back walk toward the door leading to France, and he chose his own destination with a grin. The announcement through the loudspeaker told everyone that time was up and asked them to go to their respective doors. Bakira left for Spain, telling Iseijai that he hoped Iseijai would have evolved by their next meeting. Iseijai walked toward the door for Germany. Ryo and Nagi walked together. Ryo asked if Nagi was ready, and Nagi answered that he was, eyes on his phone. The selections were finalized. England's group included Nagi Saishiro, Mikage Ryo, Hayoma Chijiri, Burshui, Naokazuma, Nishioka Hajime, and Hiragi Reija. France's group included Itoshi Rin, Ryusei Shido, Tokimitsu Aoshi, Tsurugi Zentetsu, Karasu Tebito, Nanes Nijiro, and Cho Kento. Germany's group included Yoichi Iseijai, Yukimiya Kenyu, Raichi Jingo, Gagamaru Jin, Igarashi Gurumi, Kurona Ranz, and Hayari Yo. Spain's group included Bakira Megumi, Otoya Ida, Heiate Haru, Darai Miroku, Kitsunazato Teru, Wakatsuki Itsuki, and Narutepe. Italy's group included Uzumaki Naruto, Iki Niko, Ariu Jubiai, Oliver Aiku, Sendo Shudo, Fukaku Gen, and Ishigaki Yukio. Aiku walked alongside Naruto and welcomed those who had chosen Italy to tactical football and catenaccio, noting that Juventus was currently crowned as the strongest team in Italy. A hologram of Ego appeared before everyone and announced that they would play and train with the under-20 players. Ego explained that they would not be going to Italy. Instead, the atmosphere of the 5 major European leagues would be recreated at Blue Lock. For that reason, Ego had invited players of the same age who currently played for those clubs, and the Blue Lock players would have to win in that environment with the help of assigned masters. Ego opened a door to reveal the first figure and introduced the Italian striker and Juventus master Mark Snuffy, whom he called the Herald of the Crown. The Blue Lock players reacted with varying expressions at the sight of the star. Ego then introduced the German master, stating that the star forward acting as their mentor would be Noel Noah. For Spain, Ego said that the Barcelona striker Levinho, known as the Dancer, had come a long way from playing in Brazil to starring at a major European club. Levinho entered without the top half of his uniform. For England, Ego introduced Chris Prince of Manchester City, described as the perfect hero and the second-best forward in the world alongside Noel Noah. Finally, Ego presented the French star forward Julien Loki, famed for his explosive speed and called by many the Supernova. In front of the 7 Blue Lock players stood the 11 players of Italy's under-20 team, with their forward and team star Mark Snuffy smiling at the young challengers. Snuffy greeted them in Italian, and when the Blue Lock players did not understand, he noted that they did not speak Italian and told Lorenzo to pass the headphones so they could communicate. A tall figure with a gaunt, zombie-like appearance walked toward them with a bright smile and gold teeth. Once the players had headphones on, Snuffy cleared his throat and introduced himself as Mark Snuffy, the Juventus master, scanning the young players before asking them a brief question about what football meant to each of them. Later, after Naruto returned to where the others were with Snuffy, they watched the Blue Lock players running through an obstacle course alongside the Juventus squad. Snuffy observed that Lorenzo was training Naruto exactly as instructed and calmly ordered Naruto to join the run. Naruto fell into step and quickly matched and then overtook his teammates, surprising them. Snuffy internally noted that Naruto's speed was remarkable, possibly rivaling Julien Loki and perhaps even a little superior. Lorenzo acknowledged Naruto's speed, and Naruto gave a half-smile before sprinting past him at full pace. 3 days passed during which Snuffy continuously trained his players in every aspect. Snuffy informed them that in a few hours they would play their first match against FC Barcelona and displayed the formation they would use. He explained that they would line up in a 3-5-1-1 and listed the starters as Fukaka Gen, Iki Nico, Ariu Jubii, Oliver Aiku, Don Lorenzo, Abdi, Perron, Drago, Rico, Sendo Shudo, and Uzumaki Naruto. Snuffy specified that Fukaka Gen would be the goalkeeper, the defenders would be Don Lorenzo, Ariu Jubii, and Oliver Aiku, the midfielders would be Abdi, Drago, Nico, Perron, and Rico. Sendo would play a bit further forward, and Naruto would be the striker. Snuffy then addressed Yukio, telling him to stay alert during the match because he might be brought on in the second half, and acknowledged that Barcelona would be a tough opponent, particularly because Levinho's nickname, the Dancer, reflected his quality. Snuffy added that he would not enter the game while Levinho was absent and would let his players take the field. Naruto asked which teams they had already played, and Snuffy touched the screen to display the neo-egoistic league schedule. Snuffy explained the order of matches: first Juventus vs FC Barcelona, then Manchester City vs PSG, followed by Bayern Munich vs FC Barcelona, next Juventus vs Manchester City, PSG vs FC Barcelona, Manchester City vs Bayern Munich, Juventus vs PSG, FC Barcelona vs Manchester City, Juventus vs Bayern Munich, and finally Bayern Munich vs PSG. Snuffy turned to the players and said that was the schedule, then showed them the formation Barcelona would use in their upcoming match. Snuffy led his players toward the exit and they walked out together, Juventus following behind. On the field, the Juventus players found FC Barcelona already waiting. Bakira approached Naruto and the others and noted that he saw they were also starting players. Oliver Aiku agreed and observed that almost everyone on their side was a starter, adding that the only one who, regrettably, had not been named among the starters was Naru. Miroku noted that Levinho had said his participation would not be necessary, watching his former captain nod toward the bench at his white-haired teammate. Bakira insisted that they should prepare anyway. They had not come to lose, he declared defiantly to Naruto, who returned his gaze. Naruto said he hoped for an interesting match as he walked to the center of the field, since Juventus would take the first kickoff. The referee's whistle sounded and the match began. Sendo passed the ball to Naruto, who faced the field with a calm expression. A quick touch sent the ball to Nico, who was immediately marked by Picasso and Haru. Nico quickly nudged the ball with his right foot and passed it to Perrone, who received it with ease. Perrone announced that it was time for Juventus to show what they were made of and began sprinting down the right flank. Two defenders chased him, so Perrone slid the ball to Rico. Rico feinted past the defender in front of him and, once free, struck a powerful shot that lofted the ball toward the area where Sendo was waiting. Otoya appeared to mark Sendo and warned that they should not expect to score so quickly, but Sendo let the ball pass in a move that surprised the white-haired striker. Sendo teased Otoya about watching the ball more carefully as the ball was collected by Naruto. Marked by Ruiz and Urzias, Naruto controlled the ball with his right foot and threaded a pass toward Ruiz. Urzias lunged to clear it from Naruto's feet, but Naruto used a swift touch to lift the ball with the tip of his foot and then struck it with a powerful volley. The ball flew into the top right corner of the net. The goalkeeper, diving in an attempt to reach it, fell short and could only watch as the ball crossed the line. Sendo celebrated the shot by leaping onto Naruto's back, and Naruto smiled faintly, turning to see Bakira excited at the sideline. Bakira urged Otoya to keep going. This was only the beginning, and Otoya followed him back toward the center. The scoreboard read Juventus 1-0 FC Barcelona, and play resumed. Bakira received the ball from Otoya and joked that it was time to show his talent. He advanced with Otoya and Teru close in support, letting the atmosphere carry him. A heel pass to Otoya led to a quick give-and-go with Teru before the ball returned to Bakira. A few days earlier, Levinho's presence had left a strong impression on the Blue Lock players. Teru had remarked that it was incredible to see Levinho in person, and the players listened as Levinho made his intentions clear. He told them that he had not come simply to teach them how to play football. Instead, this was about forging the best striker in the world. He insisted that he himself was the best and was not going to give away secrets easily, which surprised the players. When questions arose about who the best striker might be, Levinho challenged them with a confident smile. He explained that in Brazil there was a concept called ginga, a rhythm and movement rooted in capoeira that blended dance and martial arts. Levinho demonstrated by controlling the ball with fluid touches, turns, and movements that looked like a strange but beautiful dance. He told them that many Brazilian stars trained in this rhythm, and that he had learned by copying strong players, then blending those influences into his own original style. Levinho described his image of a butterfly on the field, saying the pitch was his stage and he danced to captivate the audience. As he spoke, a ball rolled across the ground and he controlled it effortlessly, impressing everyone with his quick handling and footwork. When Bakira picked up on the rhythm, Levinho laughed and encouraged him, reminding the players that football was about improvisation in the moment and finding a rhythm that suited each player. Back in the present, Bakira shifted the ball slightly to one side, letting Rico move in an attempt to steal it. Naruto praised Bakira for his improved stability, noting that his center of gravity was steadier than before. Bakira flashed his usual smile and boasted about being the best Scarlet Prince as he tried to dribble past Naruto. The field fell quiet as the duel between Juventus's number 10 and FC Barcelona's number 11 continued. Bakira, smiling as always, worked to get past Naruto with his dribbling. But Naruto, focused on the ball, would not be deceived and slid his foot in to block Bakira's attempt at a nutmeg. Seeing that fail, Bakira tried to feint past Naruto and follow with a trick, but Naruto shadowed him closely and prevented him from doing anything. Bakira complimented Naruto, saying he was as good as ever, and Naruto only smiled calmly. Realizing he could not beat Naruto one-on-one, Bakira passed to his right to Otoya, who appeared quickly. Together they played a wall pass that sent Naruto turning his head slightly as both ran toward his goal. Holding the ball at his feet, Bakira smiled at the open goal and delivered a long pass to Otoya. Before the ball could travel far, a figure intercepted it with his foot. Lorenzo stepped forward, his grin bright and confident. Lorenzo introduced himself as Don Lorenzo, a player of the new generation, and Bakira responded with a smile, recalling that Master Levinho had mentioned him. Bakira challenged Lorenzo to see whose dribbling was superior, Lorenzo's odd, zombie-like style or Bakira's free, bee-like movement. Lorenzo's upper body began to move in an unusual, staccato way, and in the blink of an eye he had slid past Bakira. Don Lorenzo taunted that Bakira still had much to learn before stopping him, then struck the ball toward Nico. Nico controlled the ball with his right foot, scanned the field in his mind, and seemed to process a flood of plans and ideas. He announced internally that his scan was complete and passed the ball to Rico without looking left. Rico was surprised. He had been sure he had not seen Nico move. With the ball now under Juventus's control, all Barcelona players pushed forward to prevent another goal. Perón urged Rico not to lag behind, and Rico reacted by sending the ball on. Perón immediately sprinted up the field, followed by others. Nico, Rico, Drago, and Abdi exchanged passes with quick precision, embarrassing Barcelona's defense. Near the penalty area, Abdi, who held the ball, delivered a cross into the heart of the box where Naruto was already waiting. Miroku jumped alongside Naruto, but Naruto's superior physical strength allowed him to reach the ball first and head it into the net. Naruto's header resulted in a goal, making the score Juventus 2, FC Barcelona. On the sidelines, Levinho rose from his chair and commented that it might be time to enter the field, while Snuffy remained seated and only smiled. Snuffy indicated that his team could win with their own effort for the moment, and Levinho, a bit irritated that Snuffy would not join the match, watched as the game continued. The stadium system indicated a star substitution. Henry announced over the loudspeaker that Barcelona would make a change. Picasso and Lara would leave the field and Levinho and Neru would enter, altering Barcelona's starting formation. Naruto observed that things were getting interesting as Levinho stepped onto the pitch with a confident smile. Levinho told his players to prepare to move to his rhythm, and they took their positions. Play resumed. Bakira passed the ball to Levinho, who smiled and focused his gaze forward. Levinho asked Bakira if he was ready, and Bakira nodded. Nico warned that Levinho was on the ball, and master and pupil from Barcelona began to advance, their movements flowing like a dance as they threaded passes through Juventus's lines with speed and precision. Naruto watched and wondered whether this was truly the playing style of the so-called dancer of the field. Levinho invited a challenge against Naruto, and Naruto stepped forward defiantly. Levinho's smile widened as he moved his feet rapidly over the ball, and Naruto lunged with his left foot but found nothing to hit. The ball vanished from Levinho's feet and then reappeared as it passed over Naruto's head. Levinho had executed a perfectly timed flick, and when he regained possession he turned to offer a cheeky smile. Naruto clenched his teeth so hard the veins in his neck stood out, angered by the move. As Naruto closed in, Levinho lifted the ball and used the heel of his right foot to pass it to Bakira. Bakira controlled it with his chest and lofted a pass to Otoya. Otoya sped forward, reaching the ball faster than Airyu had anticipated. Airyu positioned himself to block Otoya and told him to pass or lose the ball, but Otoya grinned and executed a quick dribble that left Airyu watching the ball slip by. Approaching the end of the field, Otoya sent a cross to Bakira, who backheeled it to Levinho. Levinho eluded the goalkeeper, reached the line, turned to face the Juventus players, and struck the ball with his heel while making a mocking gesture. He declared himself the one who brought challenge and liberation to the field and urged them to match his rhythm, though his words were theatrical rather than violent. Levinho's finish put Barcelona on the scoreboard, closing the gap to Juventus 2, FC Barcelona. Naruto recalled Snuffy's earlier description of Levinho. The reason Levinho was called the dancer was not solely for his dribbling style. When he slipped past opponents, they often appeared to move as if caught in his rhythm, and by the time his sequence was over they would end up on the ground, stunned and unable to continue in that moment. The captain warned that very few people could stop and defeat Levinho, and that Aiku's duty was not to face him. Aiku asked Naruto what they should do now, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Naruto decided they would continue as before since they only needed one more goal to finish the match. He walked toward the center and instructed Lorenzo to join the attack this time. Don Lorenzo agreed. Play resumed. Henry announced over the communicator that Levinho had left the field and Lara had come on. Naruto thought that they only needed to win, then passed the ball to Sendo, who quickly ran forward. Bakira stepped into Sendo's path, and Sendo nudged the ball to the side where Nico received it. Nico advanced down the left flank until Wakatsuki confronted him and lunged for the ball. Nico moved the ball back, planted his left foot, and with his right foot chipped it over Wakatsuki. Rico collected the ball and tried to push forward, but Haru appeared and stole it cleanly between his legs. Haru launched a counterattack and sent a volley toward Teru, who brought it down and, in one touch, passed to Otoya. Excerpt from Germany. Hayari, a blue-haired friend of Isegai, asked whether Isegai had seen how the match between Juventus and FC Barcelona had ended. Isegai, lying on his back in bed and exhausted from training, said he had not and asked for the result. Hayari answered that Juventus had won 3. Isegai asked who had scored, and Hayari reported that Naruto had completed a hat-trick and that Levinho had scored Barcelona's lone goal. Yukimiya remarked that Naruto being a starter for Juventus was to be expected of the best from Blue Lock. Raichi complained angrily that while Naruto was scoring goals, they were here training to see who would be the starter. Igarashi wondered aloud whether Naruto would have become a starter if he had come to Germany, and Kurona agreed, saying Naruto was the kind of player who could play in many ways and would undoubtedly be a starter if he were here. While everyone talked, Isegai remained quiet, thinking mostly about Naruto. Isegai resolved that if he wanted to become the best in the world he would have to be much better than Naruto, who always seemed a step ahead of everyone else. Igarashi called Isegai back from his thoughts and asked what he thought, since their first match would be tomorrow against FC Barcelona. Isegai said he believed it would be an important match but that Bayern München would surely win, and the others nodded. In the Juventus training hall, Snuffy entered and looked satisfied at how his players were following the training plan. He called everyone together and reminded them that Barcelona had played Bayern München the previous day. He displayed the results on a hologram. Manchester City had lost to PSG 3-2, with PSG goals from Rin, 2, and Shidu, 1, and City goals from Baru and Nagi. Bayern München had defeated FC Barcelona 3-2, with Bayern goals from Kaiser, Noah, and Kunigami, and Barcelona goals from Bakira and Levinho. Snuffy changed the hologram to show the standings. Juventus sat at the top with 3 points and a +2 goal difference. PSG and Bayern München followed with 3 points and +1. Manchester City had 0 points and -1, and FC Barcelona had 0 points and Snuffy told the team that their next match would be against Manchester City and reminded them to prepare. He then brought up the Blue Lock ranking. Naruto was at number 1 with 40 million, followed by Rin with 36 million, Bakira with 32 million, Nagi with 30 million, Ryo with 29 million, Chidori with 28 million, Nico with 26 million, Aryu with 25 million, Kunigami with 24 million, Otoya with 22 million, Shidu with 20 million, Sendo with 19 million, and Isegai with 17,000. Iku teased Naruto about being accustomed to holding the top spot, and Naruto responded with pride, confident in his status as the best. Nico remarked that Naruto had overtaken Isegai in the rankings. Snuffy called Naruto aside and asked him to follow. After Snuffy and Naruto left the room, the other players resumed their training. Before the Juventus vs Manchester City match, Snuffy checked that the team was ready and explained the tactical plan. He displayed a hologram of Manchester City's intended 3-4-3 formation and noted that City had more forwards than Barcelona, so Juventus would adopt a 1-4-5 shape. Snuffy confirmed that Yukio would start in place of Abdi, and the giant nodded, pleased to finally be a starter. This would be their formation. The coach reminded them to go out and win. At the end they all shouted in agreement and walked toward the exit where Manchester City was already waiting. Chidori finished tying his laces, hair covering his face, and noted that Vin was here. Ryo tied his hair back, reflecting that they would meet face to face again. Nagi stepped forward and watched Naruto adjust one of his gloves with a serious look. Baru carried the ball under his arm and proclaimed that he would show who the true king of the field was. Naruto stepped forward with a serious tone and challenged Nagi, Ryo, and Chidori to be ready for a good match. Nagi, still remembering his school's crushing defeat at Naruto's hands, vowed that this time they would win. Both teams took their places, Manchester City kicking off with Nagi and Baru at the center, awaiting the start. Announcer Anri introduced the fourth match between Juventus and Manchester City, drawing all cameras to the players. The match began. Baru passed the ball to Nagi, who quickly laid it back to Ryo. Rio sent a long pass to Chijiri down the right flank. Chijiri sprinted forward, unstoppable. Chijiri expected this to be City's victory as he crossed the ball into the area where Baru and Nagi were waiting. Before either could reach it, Yukio rose and headed the ball to Aiku. Aiku thanked the tall player and began to run forward. Seeing Hiragi and Arturo close in, Aiku passed to Don Lorenzo on his right. Lorenzo's dribbling embarrassed the two defenders, and he sent the ball out to the right edge of the pitch where Perrone picked it up. The Italian launched a cross toward Nishioka, who had come out to mark, directing the ball into the heart of the area. For Juventus's misfortune, City's tallest player appeared and controlled the ball on his chest in front of Naruto. Aji declared that he would not let Naruto touch the ball and cleared it across the field. Naruto calmly ran back to his half, determined that they would see about that. The ball flew to Nagi, who controlled it and charged at the goal with a determined look. Nagi weaved forward between Rico and Drago. Rio ran alongside him and used his chameleon-like ability to copy techniques, tapping the ball with 3 toes of his right foot to make it rise and bend in the air into a perfectly timed pass to an unmarked Nagi ready to shoot. Nagi intended to score, but Baru tried to steal the ball and the two wrestled for possession, pushing and jostling. Baru shoved Nagi and Nagi pushed back. Their struggle drew everyone's attention, beads of sweat forming on the observers' necks. Their distraction was immediately exploited by Nico, who raced in and stole the ball from both of them. Rio ran after Nico, scolding them for losing the ball because of their fight. Nico passed to Ryu, who ran forward and combined with Lorenzo in a wall pass that brought them close to the opposing box. Lorenzo's cross was once more met by Aji, but this time Naruto would not be beaten. He spun around the English defender and used his right leg to block Aji's clearance. Naruto had let it happen once, but not a second time. The ball went out for a throw-in to the English team. Aji took the throw and fed the ball to Rio, who raced toward the opponent's area. Lorenzo intercepted and skillfully reclaimed the ball, prompting Rio to curse as he ran after the Italian to recover possession. Lorenzo lofted the ball toward Naruto, who controlled it with ease. Naruto thanked Lorenzo for the pass and charged at the rival goal, his golden eyes shining, determined to make them yield. Using his speed, Naruto left Daimon trailing and played a through ball to Nishioka, lifting it over Nayu who had tried to block with his body. Approaching the penalty area, Naruto stepped over the ball and glanced back to see Aji sprinting toward him to block the shot. Aji raised his right leg to intercept, but Naruto smiled and lifted the ball with his left foot, flicking it over Aji's head with a deft touch. Naruto did not stop there. Seeing Baru bearing down on him, he quickly shifted the ball with his right foot between Baru's legs, slipping past the defender who could not stop him. With a clear sight of the goal, Naruto struck the ball with his right foot, sending it at high speed into the top right corner beyond goalkeeper Rook's reach. The ball hit the back of the net. Naruto had scored. Juventus led Manchester City 1. Rio cursed and put a hand to his face as he watched the scoreboard, frustrated. He was told not to be so discouraged, that it was just 1 goal. Aji took the throw, sending the ball to Rio to start the next phase of play. Rio quickly began to run toward the rival area, but Lorenzo appeared and swiftly reclaimed the ball, causing Rio to curse again as he tried to recover it. Lorenzo sent the ball high toward Naruto, who controlled it and prepared to attack. Naruto continued pressing the play, determined to extend their lead. Chijiri reminded Rio that they could still score and win, and Rio nodded. From the center of the field, Nagi watched Naruto's back as he stood in front of the goal, staring at the ball resting in the net. Nagi thought with fierce determination that he would destroy Naruto and turned to get into position. The referee signaled restart. Aji took the kickoff and passed back to Rio, who did not hesitate to send a long ball to Chijiri. Chijiri received the pass and sprinted, spotting Hiragi unmarked and passing to him. Hiragi quickly set the ball to Arturo, who lofted a pass toward Baru. Baru prepared to volley, but Nico stepped into the ball's path and sent it skyward with a deflection. Baru muttered a curse at Nico, who returned a cold look and taunted that he would not be easy to mark. Rio collected the ball. Baru made a run into the box and was seen by both Rio and Nagi. Rio paused for a moment, weighing his options. Chijiri urged him not to hesitate, prompting Rio to nod and strike the ball with his right foot. The ball slipped between Yukio and Aiku and rose into the air. It appeared to be aimed for Nagi, who was being marked by Lorenzo, but to everyone's surprise the ball continued on to Burr. Burr did not hesitate and struck the ball with full power, sending it into the net. Juventus leveled the score. The scoreboard read Juventus 1-1 Manchester City. Rio apologized to Nagi for the goal assist and said they had to win the match, while Nagi said nothing and walked back to his position with steady steps. Nico observed that he had never expected Rio to set up Buru, and Naruto emphasized that what mattered most was winning the game as he walked toward the center. Play resumed. Sendo passed to Rico, who sent a long ball to Perone. Perone controlled and looked up to see Nagi and Hiragi closing in. The Italian quickly slipped a pass into the feet of a surprised Sendo, who flicked the ball up and evaded a sliding challenge from Chijiri. Seeing Naruto unmarked, Sendo launched a powerful shot toward him as Aji sprinted in to intercept. Naruto moved back, judged the situation, and performed a quick spin over Aji's challenge, leaving the defender unable to stop him. With the goal open, Naruto struck the ball at great speed into the upper right corner, beyond the goalkeeper's desperate dive. Juventus took the lead again. The scoreboard read Juventus 2-1 Manchester City. Chris rose from the bench and indicated it was time for substitutions, surprising his teammates. Snuffy stretched and agreed, and then walked toward the touchline to signal a change. The teams made their substitutions. Juventus brought Drago on for Snuffy, while Manchester City brought Arturo on for Chris. Snuffy announced that Juventus would switch to a 3-5-1-1 formation, and Chris adjusted Manchester City to a 3-4-2-1, assigning Nagi to play as the center forward. Play restarted. Chris fed the ball to Buru, who immediately charged forward determined to score an equalizer. Snuffy stepped up and positioned himself to mark Buru. Buru accelerated, taunting Snuffy, but Snuffy anticipated the move, shifted his body in an instant to take the ball with his left foot, and executed a graceful, skillful maneuver that slipped the ball past Buru. With composure, Snuffy delivered a precise pass to Aiku, who crossed into the small area where Naruto was waiting. Before Naruto could rise, a taller opponent redirected the ball out over the line, forcing a corner for Juventus. Snuffy took the corner from the left and curled the ball toward the heart of the penalty area. Two players met it with a head duel, Naruto and Chris clashing in the air but neither coming away with control, and the ball spilled loose. Sendo seized the moment, drove the ball toward the right post, and struck the post with a hollow sound as the ball ricocheted out, granting Manchester City a reprieve. Sendo held his head in disbelief. Snuffy approached calmly and reminded him that anyone could miss a shot, even good players, and Sendo returned to his position. Rook placed the ball and launched it back into play with a strong kick toward midfield. Rio brought the ball down on his chest and laid it off to Aji, who began to advance until Naruto closed him down. Unable to play through, Aji switched the ball to the left where Hiragi waited. Hiragi pushed forward but was forced to slow when Aiku stepped into his path, so he redirected the ball back to Aji. Aji quickly sent a long pass to Chijiri. Chijiri displayed his speed, bursting past Perone and Rico as they chased him. Spotting Rio free, Chijiri played a quick pass to him. Rio saw the goal and felt the impulse to shoot, but hesitated, worrying he might miss. A brief moment of uncertainty held the play steady. Rio thought they could mount a quick counterattack and passed the ball to Aji, who ran at his side. Rio also noticed Ryu and Yukio in the box, both well positioned to reach the ball. Aji stopped the ball and searched for Nagi, but saw Nagi being marked by Nico. He also saw Bauer tightly marked by Lorenzo, leaving only the option to combine with Rio and Chijiri. Aji heard someone urge him not to waste time and saw a red-haired figure approaching. Seeing this, Aji passed the ball to Rio. Rio did not hesitate and struck the ball toward Juventus's goal. Fukaku summoned all his strength, launched himself, and managed to grab the ball. Much to Rio's surprise, Rio had aimed for the lower left corner where the goalkeeper would find it hardest to reach. Fukaku stood up quickly, saw his teammates already sprinting forward, and threw the ball through the air with all his might to Snuffy. The Italian received it and saw Chris standing in front of him with a smile. Chris noted that they had never had their rematch. Snuffy smiled in response but said he had a match to win, he executed a quick dribble, slipped the ball past Chris, circled him, and began to run. Chris swore he would not let him get away and chased after him. Seeing Chris charging, Snuffy passed the ball to Naruto. Naruto saw it was a long pass and began running, controlling the ball with his left foot. He performed a nutmeg on Nishioka, who went in to stop him. Chidori shouted that he would not let Naruto shoot and launched a dramatic sliding tackle, sweeping Naruto's foot and bringing him down in an anime-style collision. The referee's whistle blew and a yellow card was shown to the Manchester City player for a foul on the Juventus player. Henry's voice announced the decision as the replay of Chidori's challenge appeared on the big screen. Naruto picked up the ball and took his position to take the free kick. Because the foul had been committed outside the penalty area, Chris ordered 4 players Aji, Baru, Daimon, and Chidori to form a defensive wall. Naruto and Snuffy stood in front of the goal, both watching intently. At the whistle, Snuffy feinted as if to take it himself but then let Naruto step forward. Naruto struck the ball with power and calm, sending it curling into the upper left corner beyond the goalkeeper's reach. Goal. Juventus 3-1 Manchester City. Silence fell over the pitch. The Manchester City players looked defeated. With Naruto's last goal, Juventus took the victory. Igo's voice appeared on the big screen. He congratulated the players and announced that he would show the 5 best Blue Lock players who had received new offers. The offers were displayed as follows. Number 1, Naruto. Juventus offered 55 million, Manchester United and Liverpool offered 60,000. Number 2, Rin PS offered 48 million, Atletico de Madrid offered 45,000. Number 3, Baru. Manchester City offered 46 million, Arsenal offered 42,000. Number 4, Shidupese offered 46 million, AS Monaco offered 28,000. Number 5, Bakira FC Barcelona offered 39 million, PSE offered 43,000. Igo emphasized that these were the 5 top players of Blue Lock who had received new offers and that those not shown had not yet received offers, so they would have to wait. 3 days later in Italy, at the Juventus training ground, Naruto practiced a new shot from outside the box, a technique he had been trying to perfect that resembled a fiery strike. Snuffy appeared behind him and observed that Naruto still had not perfected the shot. Naruto answered that he was close, and Snuffy stood beside him. Snuffy pulled out his phone and projected a hologram displaying the Neo-Egoist league table and the results of the other matches. The hologram showed the match results and scorers as follows. Juventus vs Manchester City winner. Juventus 3 goals. 3 by Naruto, 1 by Bar. PSG vs FC Barcelona winner. PSG 3 goals. 2 by Loki, 1 by Rin. Manchester City vs Bayern München winner. Bayern München 3 goals listed. Chidori, Nagi, Kaiser, Kunigami, and Yukimiya. The league standings appeared next. 1. Juventus 6 points, plus 4 goal difference. 2. PSG 6 points, plus 4 goal difference. 3. Bayern München 6 points, plus 2 goal difference. 4. Manchester City 0 points, minus 4 goal difference. 5. FC Barcelona 0 points, minus 6 goal difference. Snuffy closed his eyes and said that their next match would be against the French prodigy Loki and asked Naruto if he thought they could win. Naruto placed a ball in front of him and admitted he was not sure, but he did know one thing. Naruto declared that the winners of the league would be them and, finishing the sentence, struck the ball with such force that it momentarily lost its shape before shooting off toward the right corner of the goal. Snuffy left the field without another word, leaving Naruto to continue practicing his shot. After 4 hours of practice, Naruto decided to shower and then get something to eat. Halfway to the kitchen he ran into Aiku, who smiled at him as he approached. Aiku said that he had been looking for Naruto. Naruto raised an eyebrow and asked what he needed as they walked toward the kitchen together. Aiku asked if Naruto had seen the ranking of the 11 best players in Blue Lock. When Naruto shook his head, Aiku handed over his phone and said Naruto would be surprised. The Blue Lock ranking showed Naruto with 60 million, Rin with 48 million, Baru with 46 million, Shidu with 46 million, Bakira with 44 million, Nagi with 30 million, Ryo with 29 million, Isejai with 28 million, Chijiri with 28 million. Kunigami with 27 million. Yukimiya with 25 million. Sendo with 23 million. Aiku with 21 million. Aiku explained that his performance against Manchester City had bumped up his offer a little. He smiled as Naruto returned the phone. Naruto acknowledged the news calmly, and Aiku headed back to his room while Naruto went on to the kitchen. Later, during the Juventus vs PSG match, Snuffy stood before a board and explained PSG's tactics. Snuffy pointed out that PSG used two types of play, each involving their two most dangerous players, and then clarified that for this match PSG would line up in a 3-4-1-2 formation. He emphasized that Shido and Rin were the most dangerous and that the defense would have to mark them constantly. Snuffy announced that Juventus would play a 4-4-2 and that the forwards would be Sendo and Nardo. Sendo promised that he would rise to the occasion with a confident smile. Snuffy urged the team to go out and win, and the players responded with a strong affirmative. On the field, Juventus stood on the right and PSG on the left. Rin approached Naruto coldly and told him to prepare because he intended to prove who was better. Naruto replied calmly that he hoped Rin would put up a good fight. Rin nodded and returned to his position while Naruto and Sendo took their places at midfield. Juventus would kick off. At kickoff, Naruto passed the ball to Sendo. Sendo quickly turned and fed Rico. Perron made a run and sent a lofted pass to Rico's feet. Nane stepped in front of Perron and claimed the ball, then executed a quick steal and sent it into the center where Karasu was waiting. Karasu combined with Santetsu to slip past Drago and Rico. Seeing Naruto positioned ahead, the crow-shaped player passed to Tokimitsu, who raced into the opponent's area. Tokimitsu grew nervous when he spotted Rin nearby and called out for Rin to take the ball, then passed it to him. Itoshire set his eyes on the goal and prepared to shoot, but Aiku blocked the strike with his right leg, deflecting the ball backward. A small blonde youth with yellow eyes retrieved the rebound and grinned as the ball bobbed to him. Nico shouted a warning and ran toward Charles to stop him. The young French trainee struck the ball between Nico and Aiku, and although the shot did not head directly for the goal, Shido leapt and completed a diving header that sent the ball into the net. The scoreboard read Juventus 0. Snuffy observed that the match had suddenly become interesting. Juventus had always started by taking the lead, and this change forced him to force a smile as he watched the game. Silence fell across the field after PSG's goal. The Italian players looked frustrated, everyone except Naruto. Naruto smiled at the situation. He did not enjoy starting from behind, but the chance to overwhelm his rivals excited him. Naruto told his teammates that there was no time for excuses and took the ball to place it at the center for the restart. The stadium hummed as the players prepared for play to resume. Nico reminded his teammates that they were Juventus and could not afford to lose, and his words motivated them to take their positions. The whistle restarted the match. Sendo passed to Naruto, who used his speed to slip between Rin and Shido, lofted the ball, and without looking tapped it to Nico's feet. Nico received the ball, executed a quick nutmeg pass to Tokimitsu, and played a long pass that reached Perron. Perron combined with Rico in a 1-2 and moved outside the area. Seeing Drago open, Perron played a strong pass in his direction, but Choppa cleared it powerfully toward Karasu. Karasu controlled the ball and turned, then froze when he saw a pair of golden eyes in front of him. Before he could react, the ball was taken away. Rin challenged Naruto to face him and ran toward him. Naruto regarded him with a bored expression and moved the ball forward to meet him. The two collided as Rin tried to steal the ball with his right foot, but Naruto easily evaded, hooked the ball with his right foot, spun around Rin, and faced the goal. Shido cried out and slid in a tackle to knock the ball away from Naruto. Naruto prepared his dragon shot and struck the ball with full force, sending it flying with great power. Shido managed to graze it with his foot, altering its trajectory just enough to send the ball out of play. A corner kick was awarded to Juventus. The stadium announcer called everyone toward PSG's area to see who would take the corner. Karasu asked about Shido's condition, noticing him clutching his right ankle in pain. Shido lied that he was fine and thought about how the shot had been dangerous, how he had twisted his foot and felt the effect on his ankle. If he had fully intercepted the ball, he would have been injured. Naruto placed the ball at the left corner. took 4 steps back, and watched his teammates in the area. He was not aiming for the box. His eyes were fixed on the goal and a smile appeared on his face. The whistle sounded. Naruto ran and struck the ball with the instep of his right foot, elevating it quickly and perfectly toward the area where every player leapt to head it. To everyone's surprise, the ball curved dramatically and slipped into the net, surprising the goalkeeper and the spectators alike. The scoreboard read Juventus 1-1 PSG. Spectators at home, the players on the field, and the stars in the stands all watched in astonishment at what Naruto had accomplished. Not just a powerful free kick, but an Olympic goal, a feat almost impossible to achieve. Snuffy shook his head in admiration and noted that the boy never stopped surprising them. Loki observed the difficult shot and thought it regrettable that such a talented player represented a country he considered to be of lower standing. He doubted Japan would ever win a World Cup unless the competition was limited to junior teams. Snuffy reflected that if Naruto had been born in Italy, he would already be considered one of the top 12 youth players in the world. Play restarted. Rin received the ball from Shido and began to run, evading opponents as if they were not there until he encountered Lorenzo. The Italian player smiled and used his zombie dribble to try to steal the ball, but Rin's excellent footwork allowed him to hold possession long enough to make a precise pass to Karasu. Karasu passed to Charles, who controlled it with a deft touch that sent the ball over the head of a surprised Rico. Charles turned and ran toward the opponent's goal with a confident smile. Before Charles could continue running, he felt a presence behind him and glanced over at Naruto. Naruto smiled, accelerated, and slipped past Charles, who could do nothing to prevent Naruto from stealing the ball. Naruto looked up and saw Sendo running toward the opposing penalty area. Naruto sent a surgically precise pass that reached the sub-20 striker in an instant. Sendo volleyed the ball toward the lower right corner, but the goalkeeper dove and managed to stop the shot. Sendo cursed in frustration as his chance to shine was denied by the keeper. Nico shouted that the ball was still in play and sprinted after it, and a PSG defender cleared the ball to Nanes. Nanes thought that only Shido and Naruto had stood out in the match and urged Rin to shine too, sending the ball to Itoshi's feet. Rin took the ball and immediately ran toward Juventus's goal, facing Lorenzo, Aiku, and Yukio. Rin thought that none of them would stop him and increased his speed. Lorenzo tried to use his zombie dribble style, but Rin used a flick to get past him. Aiku charged shoulder to shoulder and tried to use his strength to bring Rin down, only to find himself taken off balance as Rin used his center of gravity to stay on his feet. Yukio slid in with a fierce challenge. Seeing he had no time to dodge, Rin struck the ball powerfully with his right foot, sending it flying toward the goal. The goalkeeper, surprised by the long-range shot, could only barely graze the ball as it crossed the line. The goal put the score at Juventus 1-2 PSD. Rin's teammates ran to celebrate as he lay on the ground after being taken down by Yukio. Sendo felt a chill at the sound of a cold voice behind him and turned to see Naruto. Naruto told Sendo that it would be the last time he was given an opportunity like the one he had been given and warned that next time he would end his career and dreams himself. Sendo froze, fearful and aware that Naruto could indeed finish his football career before it truly began. Determined, Sendo decided that if he could not score, he would become Naruto's instrument to help him score. Play resumed. Sendo received the ball and stood still as Rin and Shido charged at him at full speed. As they closed in, he turned and passed to Nico. Nico received the ball and executed a perfect sequence with Rico and Sendo, forming a flawless triangle until Rico received the sphere and delivered a pass into the box where Naruto waited. Naruto leaped to head the ball and barely nudged it, sending it into Rainer's hands. Rainer quickly launched the ball to Karasu, who turned and began to run, flanked by Drago and Rico who fell back. Unable to find an opening, Karasu passed to Zantetsu, who sprinted down the right flank and struck the ball from just outside the area into the heart of the penalty box where Shido rose for the header. Yukio, taller, outjumped him and redirected the ball with a header into Fukaku's hands. Fukaku took a couple of steps back and then ran forward, dropping the ball into the air and driving it with his right foot directly to Nico. Nico brought the ball down on his chest, turned, and used his foot to shift it to one side, evading Karasu's attempt to steal it. Karasu taunted Nico, but Nico brushed off the comment and focused on the play, passing to Rico, who sprinted at full speed. Rico fed the ball to Sendo, who surprised everyone by dribbling past Tokimitsu and Gabon and laying it off to Naruto. Naruto trapped the ball between his feet and leaped to avoid Michelin's sliding challenge. The defender quickly got to his feet and charged after Naruto, who was now outside the box. Naruto moved slightly to the left to set up the shot and, despite the nearby defender, struck the ball with his left foot. The shot flew into the net with precision. The equalizer made the score Juventus 2-2 PSG. End of chapter.